Yeah, I forgot this part.
Doing it live.
We're doing it live.
I'm vengeance.
See, what happens is I get super excited about starting the show and I hit a button without having everything prepared. So, welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 108 of the Super Civil Servants podcast. My name is Greg, the Bat Daddy 52. And I know last week when I came into the show, I was defeated. And I said that as soon as I came in. This week, everything is coming out Millhouse. Like, it is great. I don't know what's going on this Friday, but it is a great Friday. I'm happy to be here. It's awesome. Like, it is a really, really good day, and I hope to continue it talking about really good shit. So, I got my friends with me. Sara, what's going on? You're here tonight.
Oh man, it's been a long week. It's been an awesome week as far as work wise. We got a lot of shit done, so it's really great. Our sales team, we've all come together as one cohesive unit. Put it this way: when you have the end of a sales meeting, when everybody gets a little emotional, and you actually see like, I'm like, okay, we've done our shit. So yeah, it's been awesome. But I've been away from home for a few days, more so than usual. So I'm ready to like just chill with my homies and just talk some cool stuff because I mean I spent like yesterday and today catching up on everything, and dude, there's been some crazy shit going on. I'm loving it.
I hear you. Good deal. Good to have you on. And Ross, I have a hard DCU dick to slap across your MCU face right now. So
You did say last week that you were going to lay it on thick, so
That's right.
let's see how
That's
thick
right.
it gets.
So let's go ahead and lay that dick on there. And what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Just pushing all my Friday problems to Monday. Enjoying.
That's how you do it, right?
Waiting for this weekend.
You have mastered the art. That's all I can say. You mastered the art, pushing it to Monday. So, well, welcome back, everybody. We are here this week. We are going to discuss everything we've been talking about. New shows this week going on. Doom Patrol Season 3 is continuing. Titans keeps going on. Lower Decks is going. And What the fuck is what they should call it. That's all I'm saying. So, we've got all that stuff. And then Ross is going to hit us up with some news after we get done. So, let's start some shows. Welcome everybody. It's another week, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I watched a lot of shows this week, and I saw a lot of filler episodes this week, just in my opinion. And we're gonna talk about it, but everything this week I think was filler. We're right at that point with all the shows we're covering, where it's kind of not the middle of the season, not the end of the show, but kind of that point where you've got to put one filler episode in. And I feel like every episode this week I thought I saw did that, So what do y'all want to talk about first?
You boys can talk about Stargirl because that's the one I've kind of pushed off. So if you guys want to hit that one, go for it.
We can talk about Stargirl. I'm good with that. Ross, do you want to start with
Stargirl? Why don't you start, since you didn't watch, was it Chapter 7?
I didn't watch Chapter 7. No.
Fill me in and tell me your basic real quick thoughts.
Well, I watched Chapter 7 and then I watched the last one that came out. Look, I'm not big on the last episode the previous episode where like Yolanda is like the main focus. Not that I mind Yolanda as a character, but her story for me is kind of filler. Like I get this CW teenage angst they've kind of put on the show, and they're doing that through Yolanda, where, okay, something that happened 6 months ago is affecting me now, and now I can't operate. For me, that doesn't work, but it's the CW formula. I get where they're going with it, and I just don't like it. But they move forward a little bit in the next episode. There's a little bit more focus on Beth in the most recent episode, and while I don't like Beth as a character, I feel like they gave her a little more purpose in this episode. You know, she was kind of my Omega. That's what I'm going to call everybody who is kind of a throwaway character, is the Omega. She's kind of my Omega for this series. I've not really cared about her. I've not really liked her. I don't really see a need for her in this episode or in this series. But this last episode has kind of given her a purpose and given her kind of a reason. And I was hoping they were going to do that. They did. But I'm still not quite sold on what the story is with this season. You know, like I'm kind of lost in the sauce, I guess you could say. And it may be me not being smart, because it's very possible. I'm not a smart guy. But throughout this whole season right now, I'm kind of grasping at straws to find out what the main purpose is or what the problem is. And I was hoping that through this episode, through halfway through the season, they would figure out or at least answer for me what the big problem is. And I get it. It's Eclipso. I get that. But I don't feel connected to that problem right now, you know? And that's
I
my
think a
thing.
large part of what we are, I don't know, I almost feel like the screenplays are a little bit choppy. Like when they actually have all this stuff written up and they have good ideas on paper, because clearly they're making it and they got sold at some point in time. But chapter 7 coming after that big fight, and like I said last week, you know, the school was put back together. They were clearly trying to show, their emphasis seems to be that Eclipso is tearing all of them apart one by one in their own ways. And this week's episode felt like that's exactly what they were trying to do and worked out a whole lot better. Whereas last week just felt like it was droning a little bit on to a point where you started to lose interest. This week they started off with, they went straight to Rick's house with a teacher bringing the college application. And I mean, you had is he the uncle? I think it's who he is. Rick's uncle.
The one he's living with?
Is the caretaker.
I believe so, yeah.
You know, you see him just be such a, the past times that we have seen him in this series, he has definitely seemed like a gigantic see you next Tuesday. So,
but that's what they've wanted, you know,
right?
They want you to feel that about that character, yeah.
And then it goes right into him venting about the way that he feels to Grundy. You know, he goes into the forest, he brings the apples, they share a moment, he pats him on the back, and all of this worked a lot better in the first 10 minutes, and I felt like last week's episode worked all together.
Was that apples they were sharing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or some other
I wasn't sure. I heard crunchy
magical fruit.
Crunchy, yeah. Some kind of magical fruit. Yeah. I heard crunchy. I don't know what it was. I couldn't determine apples, but I'll go with apples. That works.
But the better part of this episode was what you brought up, and that was the fact that they gave Beth the moment to shine. And I think that they did it in a way that made me as an audience individual care. It is tough to get past the cruddy costume. It is tough to get past the fact that it's goggles and goggles only. And she seems to be going through all of this stuff at home between her parents and feeling like an outcast at school. And I think they did a pretty good job breaking her down to build her back up. It worked out really well. And I think this episode, even though I believe it was supposed to kind of mirror last episode with Eclipso trying to take the team down, it felt like this one was done much better.
Yeah.
And I only say the problem with the screenplay is that they kind of were dicing things up a little bit. They could have made last episode the start of all of the characters being broken down, and this week, you know, rebuilding them kind of.
Well, that's not the formula, though, man. Remember, I told you the formula for CW. It's halfway through the season, lose to the villain, then build everybody back up to the point where they beat the villain at the end, where Barry is fast enough. Yeah.
This week he has webbed toes.
That's right. No, I agree with you, man. The Beth moment for me, honestly, like it just sold me on this week, because I've not been a big fan of this character. I really haven't. Like almost to the point where she's kind of annoyed me, and maybe that's kind of what they're trying to do. They want to put you at that point where it's kind of annoying, but I just don't like Beth. And this week made me care for her a little more. Coming from a broken family, coming from a situation where you got to fend for yourself, I can feel for her a little more. And I really appreciated them not letting her fold the moment she's facing Calypso in this episode. Like, she didn't fold and she didn't quiver, she didn't give up. And
she stood up straight.
she stood up straight, exactly. And as a person who has not come from much and has tried their best to do everything they can, that's all you can ask for is giving your best effort. And she did that this episode, which it would have made me really, really sad had she quivered or, just back down from what was going on. I liked seeing her go up against Calypso and honestly kind of defeating him, you know? Honestly, he's the villain of this episode or villain of the season. He's not going to be defeated in one episode, but she basically figured out a way to defeat him, and that's not to give in to fear. And I love that about her,
I think they did a pretty good job too, bringing the race equation into it. I mean, we're white guys, but I think that they did it was pretty. It's meant to hit you, and it does, but it's not like they just sit there and punch it in the whole entire time to make it more of a race issue than like anything else. And I think that was very important, and all the showing it off was perfect. But the bigger thing for you is you got your superhero moment. You got about 30 seconds of your guy back on the big screen.
I did for a second. And I was looking, I was like, oh, this is so great. My man crush is there, Joel McHale is in uniform. It was awesome. And I think we're going to see that more. But kind of going back to the point you were talking about there, the racism issue, like for me, like it was something that I immediately noticed they were pointing out, which is fine. They pointed it out. I don't want to say solved the problem, but they at least addressed the issue, and then they moved on. And I think they did a very, very good job of including that dilemma that is existent in the world today and not dwelling on it.
Totally.
And that's kind of my thing. I think they did a very, very good job of that. They made it noticeable. You saw it and you were watching. I think she even says that's racist at one point, which for all intents and purposes is absolutely right. Like there shouldn't be any kind of racism in the world. I agree with you. But they didn't dwell on it and they didn't hammer on it. They made it a point to put it out there. You saw it. And then if you're quotations woke, I guess you could say, you noticed it and you appreciated it. So I like that.
And they played it to its strength, and I think that was a real good call. And like I said, I mean, as a white male, I can't say anything, but I can tell you that I liked what I saw, and I thought that it was a great, important add-in. And but on the complete other side of it, we also got to see bullying being dealt a little bit of justice, albeit not exactly in a direct method. I mean, we saw Rick beat up his uncle, even though that he thought that
his uncle,
he tore him a few new assholes, more or less. But it was something that is equally just as important.
Right.
They just didn't do it in the same way that I think would have had such a great impact, because now Rick he smashed the hourglass.
Yeah.
So we're going to see.
In that moment, quite honestly, I didn't know what was going on, because I know that we saw Rick beating the shit out of Solomon Grundy. Okay. But I never saw him turn the hourglass over. So
we never did, but
immediately I was like, wait, what's going on, So I thought something was up. And obviously he was not Solomon Grundy. He was his uncle, who honestly deserves an ass beating.
True.
Like in my opinion, but I couldn't figure out what was going on in that moment. Like the show did a good job of really misdirecting me. And I know it sounds crazy to say that you want a show to misdirect you, but I personally do. Like, I don't want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised, So maybe I could have saw that coming if I'd have paid a little more attention. But the Grundy thing with him not being Grundy caught me by surprise. And I love the way they did it. I love the way they portrayed that. I hate that Rick's in jail. And I want to see what they do in the future with that to rectify that position. But we'll see what happens in the future with this show. You know?
Yeah, I think that. So you have now you're left pretty much in an unbalanced situation.
Mhm.
Well, I guess it's kind
It's
of
that,
balanced.
it's that episode 8, episode 9.
Yep.
You know, mix. Right.
But you got Yolanda, who gave the costume back,
Mhm.
and then you got Rick, who's in jail. And now you're stuck in the middle with the staff,
Who has no power.
right?
Mhm.
It's
Beth, who's kind of finding,
gonna happen.
you know? Yeah. No,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spoil as much as I did, Sarah.
No, that's perfectly fine because I'm gonna catch up because now I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
sounds like
a
it's
lot
a little
happens.
more.
Well, you know, Sarah, you've watched CW shows before. You know how this
Yes,
goes. This is
yes.
the point
You
where
got to be broke
you know,
down, and then you got
that's
to
right.
build it back up. So
We've
I get
passed
it.
we've passed the middle of the season. The middle of the season
Mhm.
is either all the heroes lose and have to decide how they're going to come together to
Mhm.
defeat the villain, or they've won mid-season and have to decide how they're going to beat the villain that they thought they
We
beat.
won.
You know, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's either in
it's
the
that
middle.
point with
Is
CW. you know?
darkness is either in the middle or at the
Mhm.
end? Because then if it's at the end, it'll go to next season.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. I'm interested to see what happens with Mike in the shop with his dad. You know, there was a scene where you thought you were going to see him bring out Mr. or well, I almost say Mr. Terrific. It's not that. Where he has the what's the word I'm looking for? The fragments of the diamond that held Eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And
Oh.
you see the power of that. And you even see Luke Wilson, I can't remember, Pat,
Mhm.
say in this episode that was what defeated him last time. So if that comes back into play, it'll be cool. I'm sure it probably will, but they didn't really hint on a lot of what's going on with that.
They're going to
So,
use the staff to superheat the diamond with Eclipso back inside, and it's all going to be one diamond again.
you nailed it. Sounds like an answer. Yeah, sounds like an answer. But we got a few episodes left of that. We're gonna figure out what's going on with that. But Supergirl, Stargirl is, I mean, I don't want to say that it's surprising because it's not. Like I know kind of what's gonna happen because I've been in this game for a long time, you know. So things that really surprised me, like you know, White Knight and Identity Crisis, stories like that, they really get me. This story, I don't think is going to get me in the end. I'm pretty sure I can figure out how it's going to happen. But they've shown a few episodes or a few clips of Joel McHale as Starman, so I can't like positively say I know what's going to happen based on what they've been doing. And I guess that's the point of what they're doing. But I don't know, man. The show's getting a little kind of falling into the CW trope of I'm kind of getting bored of watching it unless they do something that's going to make me really amazed. You know, it's kind of getting to like season 4 of Arrow or season 3 of Flash, where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going
Gotta
through the
power through it.
motions,
You
but
gotta
like,
power
yeah,
through it.
like what's really going to happen here type thing. So I don't know if anybody else
I
feels
only,
that way.
I only get lost in, like I said last week, they destroyed the school and it's all back together again. I get
Right.
lost. It's funny because I can suspend belief for a staff that has its own mind, but I have difficulty believing that one, they're in summer school, two, for this long, and three, that they keep fighting in the school, tearing it apart, and it's mystically
Right.
okay. The
Well,
only thing that's been
is the house still
sacrificed so
tore up?
far.
Is it like the island
Oh
still
no,
have or is that fixed now? Or
Right.
Pat's got all the time on his hands.
That's
you
right.
know.
He's a mechanic. That's right.
Yeah.
No, that's the things you got to do is you got to figure out where you're going to suspend your belief in these
Yeah.
moments. You know, like
It's
because if
funny
you
that it's the
don't, it doesn't
realism
work.
things. I just
Right. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Stargirl is an amazing concept, and I love the show so far. It's introduced me to JSA, which I think that the DC universe, as I can say, is going to embrace more and try to promote, which is great because I'm down to learn new characters that I haven't heard about before, or not heard about before, but haven't really studied much before. I know their origin, I know they were there, but I don't know much about them. I haven't read a lot of Alan Scott stories or stuff like that. So to introduce something new like that would be great. I don't know where Stargirl's going though. Are they going to introduce that? Are they going to completely have a new cast of characters? You know, they did a really good job bringing back Brainwave, who was a great villain, and being able to have him in some episodes that means something. You know, but is Yolanda forever stuck with Brainwave now? Do we really believe that?
You want the villain building to be a little bit better in this show, I think is
That may be
is
what
what
it
I
is.
want.
Yeah.
I guess is probably a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, we don't have
season one did such a good job with
main
it.
big villain. You know, we
Right.
have a few
hope
villains that have
so.
been defeated easily, but we don't have a main big villain. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, we're gonna. It's not like
I
I'm
got to
gonna
catch
stop
up so I can
watching.
talk to you guys about this next week.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's really all I got to say about Stargirl. You know, it's a fun show. I'm gonna continue to watch it because I enjoy the storytelling they're going on, but they are starting to go down that path of the CW shows where I just kind of lose interest and I'm just not really, you know, they need to do something to make me interested again. And I think that CW and Stargirl is honestly where they're starting with the rebirth or the reinvigoration of the JSA and a whole new group of superheroes you didn't know before. You know, I just did a review with Chris Balga about what was the comic we covered? I don't even know why I can't remember that, but it covered the JSA, and it's one of those things that it's a story that Ross, you and I were close to our 40s, you know, that we could probably go back and look at and cover and be like, hey, you know, I like this. So the JSA is something I'm going to look more into in the future. And if Stargirl has introduced me to that and being more involved in that, then I can appreciate Stargirl for that. You know?
It's tough because we live in a very cutthroat superhero world now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What do I watch? What do I
Mhm.
spend my time on? You know,
And if
it's a
you
time
watch
crunch
this,
for
you're
all
wrong.
of us to watch what we can to discuss on this show. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I cannot go without watching. Like I want to see, you know, and I mean, you start putting up so many more shows, you're like, well, okay, you gotta step your game up
Right.
because I want to keep coming back and you gotta make me.
Right. Right. No. Well, is there anything else you want to point out about Stargirl this week? I'd
No.
recommend checking it out. You know, I always say it's a great show. If you haven't watched any of it, you know, at all, start from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
You're doing yourself a favor. It's a
Well,
good show. It's a very good show.
I just want to throw this out there, and Greg, I told you this earlier. Speaking of Justice Society of America, coming in with the younger crowd, my 11-year-old, he's going to be Dr. Fate for Halloween.
Nice.
We've
Ooh.
talked
nice.
we've talked about this for like whatever for a couple of Halloweens now, but I think he finally embraced it. So we have the helmet, and I'm pulling together the costume. So
Nice. Nice.
more to come on some photos.
Very, very nice. Yeah. I have you can't see it right now, but I have a cross on my arm that's got like a skull and a point in the top of it. And you know, I used to be a Christian, not anymore. So now I say it's a Dr. Fate tattoo. And it works out perfect. Like I love it. So it's awesome.
They didn't tell you that thing was permanent?
No, they did. They did. They told me whenever I got it, like, hey, this is not going to come off. But I was like,
So I might have my moments
I
where
may
I'm
change
like,
my mind later. Yeah.
I might have my moments where I'm questionable about some of my mom decisions, but
Yeah.
I'm raising my boy right.
There you go. There you go.
That's a whole nother thing too, you know, half of the stuff that we talk about, I think that it's always important to remember, because I was just having this conversation before we jumped on here, that I got to remember that I'm my age and that a bunch of this stuff isn't made for me. A bunch of this stuff is just something that I still hold on to and love because,
Yes.
Well, no,
you
a lot
want
of this
that
stuff was
childhood
made for
connection.
you, Ross, but when we were younger and it
True.
aged with us. Yeah, that's
But
the
everything
thing.
that's
It
new
aged with
is
us.
out to get the younger crowd.
Right. So,
Let's
but
move
yeah,
on.
let's move on. Well, you know what, Sarah, we talked about Stargirl, which you hadn't seen the episode of this week. So let's talk about what I haven't seen this week, and let's go to Lower Decks, Star Trek, and start me out with that.
I swear I'm loving this season. So many, like so many little Easter eggs and so many. And I was so excited over this episode. Hell, I can't even remember what it was because I'm just so fixated on the fact of one of the voices, because it was like this killer computer that was just, oh my God, it was hilarious. I just, like I said, it just blew my mind because that's the only thing I fixated on was the incomparable Jeffrey Combs. He has been, I don't know how many characters throughout the
most.
Star Trek. Oh God, I can't remember. What was the one for Enterprise? Oh shit, I can't even remember what that one was, but he's been so many different characters, and he has just one of those the Vorta, because he was that was like the first, and then you go back and see everything, and you're like, oh, that's so. But I mean, but the fact that they're getting these voices, these folks that are so, I mean, we've already had Riker, it's Jonathan Frakes. I mean, you already had that one there, and then, and you're just getting these powerhouse voices where, as a fan, if you pick up on it, you're like, no way, no, that's not, no, it's not. And then you're like, oh shit, it is. Oh my God. So, so that was really cool. I think that's what I'm really enjoying now. It's just these, like I said, these little callbacks, these little Easter eggs. This just the, you're just enjoying it because, a lot of it, yeah, you could say it's regurgitation of maybe some other storylines, because it's just, but it's still within this universe because of the way they talk about, especially Next Generation type things. Boimler's always, talking about being on the Titan, which is kind of a little bit past that. Riker's first basically captain commission. But it's just, oh my God, it just blew my mind. I'm just sitting on the couch. I'm like, I can't even pay attention to nothing else other than Boimler and oh shit, I can't even think of her name. They're just toting around with this freaking computer. That's the voice of freaking Jeffrey Combs. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even. So yeah, but I mean, it's just, oh my God, I just love it so much. I just love it so much. And then the next episode, which was really cool too, because it kind of took the crew and they kind of switched. You had like the upper command, and they like just switched to where they were doing the lower decks and vice versa. So you had all of our lower decks, they were like taking command positions or the higher command positions, and it was like for some kind of like drill type thing. I don't even know who the hell that 3-part chick was. I'm just like, what the hell? But they go in kind of like these little mini little rooms, and it's just like just simulations they're doing. So it's like little mini holodeck kind of modules or whatnot. And of course, and you have Mariner. She pops. She's like, "Oh, Mirror Universe! Oh hell yeah, I got this. Let's be bad. Let's just, long live the Empire." Wait a minute, that's wrong. And that it's just callbacks to stuff like that. Because you really see like the Mirror Universe. You see it Next Generation. Was it Next Generation? What was the other? Enterprise had a good Mirror Universe. And then also Discovery at some point, they have a Mirror Universe too, where you kind of see that one. But that was just really cool. She's like, yeah, I got this. And she like absolutely failed. She was like, no. She's like, shit. But
I can't be creative.
I know, right? He's like, you can't know. But he's like, oh, just like our captain is right-handed, you're left-handed. Just like, shit. It's like, oh, but anyways. So, and then you have Boimler, bless his heart, because he wants to be 100%. I mean, he wants to like ace everything. Because previous episode, he was already pissed off because Mariner caused him to not go on to what kind of mission was it with Ransom about some kind of centipede eating thing? I don't know what the hell it was.
It was accompanying somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was just going with ransom for like something a little more dangerous than your typical. Okay, we're just going to take this killer computer to what's it, the Dystrom Institute.
Mm.
So, but this one it was like with everybody was in like their different scenarios. What about Rutherford? Basically, I looked at Brian. I was like, dude, you know this one. This is from Rathacon. This is Rathacon shit right here. With like, having the white uniform that Scotty wore, and then you have everybody else, and it's the whole, you got to save the.
Ow!
Yeah,
it's
I know.
hot.
Like, oh my
Radiation's hot.
So I mean, it's. And then what was another one? But Boimler with the Borg.
Dude, I could
I
totally
did
relate
not
to that
believe it.
situation.
I did not believe it until I actually saw the end credits, but it was the Borg Queen, Alice Krieg, actually.
See, that one I caught
voiced.
up. Yeah.
I was like, no shit. You are kidding me. You're kidding me. So, I mean, it's just little things like that. That's what just makes, to me, as a fan of Star Trek, that just really enriches it because it doesn't take it as serious, and they consider it like, okay, well, this is our world. This is just common occurrence. It's not like, nothing too crazy, but it's just the way that they construct everything with these stories and just add everything in. Oh my God, it just blows my mind. I love it. How I missed it last week, I could have just kicked myself in the ass. But other than that, it was nice just watching those two because I was just like, oh my God. But,
Y'all ready? Boo this man. Boo this man. Haven't seen it. Nathan says he hasn't seen any Titans.
Nathan, I love you, dear.
Nathan also says he hasn't seen any What If. Boo this man.
Unless your only reason is to binge the whole thing, which that I can get behind. I don't know.
Nathan, the only way you're getting out of this is because I know you have your little. I get that. But I know you're up a lot too. But anyways.
Hey, we all got littles,
Yeah, we do. They're running around here somewhere.
That's right, somewhere. Well, we all got mid littles, I think we'll say. So I think all of our kids are in high school, right?
Mm-mm.
No?
I still got elementary, and I got one that just started middle school.
How about this? I have one high school and one elementary. So that's where I'm at.
I can dip my toes in all the water.
It's insane. That's right. It's insane.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Got
a bad feeling about this.
So Ross, I mean, what's been your opinion of Lower Decks thus far?
Being the fact that I got to watch it super fast and all kind of jammed together, I think my only, which is totally easy to look past, my only scruple with the whole thing has kind of been that the timeline's very whatever they make of it. When they make callbacks to whichever crew or this or that, which I'm totally fine with because every time they throw something in, it's just so funny. I mean, to talk about the last episode, the newest one, Boimler's desire to just keep going was something that I was fucking tickled to death with. I got to get 100. I got to keep going. I can do better.
He's like, I got the board. I got this. I know this.
Yeah. He's like, I beat her at chess. I got all the babies. I got all everyone out. I blew up the cube. I mean, every situation was wonderful. But I don't remember the head of security's name, but when they were talking about flipping the ranks for the exercise, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to my quarters. They sleep in a hallway."
Right.
No, but
oh my God, what about the one that Mariner did? That was like everybody was like naked.
Yeah,
talking about the sonic shower. The sonic shower blew me away. That they would do that on the show. It was funny. I liked it.
This one was like, oh gosh. I was like, oh my God, I've finally seen an animated butt up there. It's been a while since I've seen an animated butt. Holy cow. Okay. But anyway.
I love a good animated butt.
Glad the kids were in the room because I'm like, I'm not explaining this shit.
I know the show comes on and it's like, as I say, I think sexual content popped up, and I'm like,
I know. I was like, what?
Like, I get it in the morning. Like, I fit the 30-minute shows in right between getting one out the door and getting the next one ready. So like, as I fit it in perfect. but I have it on like in the living room. I'm just sitting there
Uh-huh.
like trying to watch it real fast, and I'm like,
That one
"You're
might
gonna
be
gamble.
for.
You're gonna gamble."
I tell you, me and Ashley right now are in the process of, we're trying to watch old sitcoms, old shows we watched growing up, like as kind of like the fall asleep show, you know. And we've gone through all of Big Bang. We've gone through which is not all sitcom, but we've gone through all of Big Bang, all of The Office, all of Seinfeld, which is one of my favorite shows. We just recently started. Or actually, we recently started. God, why can't I remember the name of it? Oh, Third Rock from the Sun. Third Rock from the Sun. Oh my gosh, what an
I remember
amazing
watching
show!
that.
What an amazing show with an amazing cast. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, shows then were not like shows now.
Oh no.
There's some
No.
stuff they're saying in the sitcom that they are just laughing off as a joke, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be a lawsuit now. Like,
And it's the first
like
time I ever saw
I'm
Joseph
sorry.
Gordon-Levitt. So I mean, that was kind of.
That was my first, yeah.
'Cause he was like a little teeny
Good luck
tiny
too. Yeah,
thing.
I agree. He was an amazing actor there. But I'll
Mhm.
tell you something. Kids Ross from our age, from our time, would beat the shit out of kids from this day and age. I'm just gonna say, because they are straight bitches. Like
If with words,
like
nothing else.
if with words, exactly. Dude, like the shit people get offended by now was normal back then,
Mhm.
and everybody was okay with it, and everybody
It's
walked on and
ingrained in
lived their
us.
life with it. It was fine. I go back and watch these old shows, and it's just like, God, I cannot believe this show
Well,
would
it's
be
just like
shut
the
down
first,
now.
like the first season of The
You know?
Office. You could never do. You couldn't do that now. You
Yeah,
could never
I
do
agree.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and like a lot of things, you're like, I should have a different.
Nathan says he's sworn off film after 2014, and 2014, I'm assuming, is when Man of Steel came out. So you can't say that because I know you've seen the Justice League, and I know you've seen the Justice League.
Well,
So
we.
He did. I mean,
DVS 2015. Yeah. So he's just talking. He hasn't sworn it off. I know he watches TV. So, but no, just crazy. Third Rock from the Sun, man. Amazing show. For anybody who hasn't seen it yet, go check it out. It's on HBO Max. Third Rock from the Sun. It's a early 90s sitcom with John Lithgow, Justin Gordon-Levitt, French Stewart. Like, yeah. Amazing cast.
French Stewart still gets under my skin.
He had
and
one
I was
good
actually
movie.
thinking about that show the other day, so now I'm glad to see that I know where to find it, because I was just like, that was when I watched.
Do the salute.
Well, I may be lying. It may not be on HBO Max. It may be on Peacock, because I've been watching a lot of the cock lately. Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of the cock lately. Yeah, so it could be that. I'm not sure, but
what's new?
What's new? Exactly. Yeah, nothing's changed since high school, right?
No.
All right. Well, so did y'all want to say anything else about Lower Decks?
Just whenever you get an opportunity, watch it. It's a nice little. It's just fun. I mean, it's just totally fun. But I mean, you can go a lot deeper, but just like on the surface level. I mean, like I said, it doesn't really have like that episode to episode type continuity. It'll kind of jump around a little bit. I mean, yes, there'll be some callbacks to earlier episodes or something like that, but it's not like where you have to watch one after the other for the story to make sense. So it's just it's just fun. It's just a fun one. It's so fun.
So basically, what Sarah's saying is you can go a lot deeper, but she might get a little pissed if you do. So just let me know.
Don't pick apart my fandom.
That's right. So Nathan says we're talking about the Sandman on teaser on Netflix. I know, Ross, you told me to watch the trailer. I believe it's what you said. I just watched the trailer on. I have not listened to the second part 2 yet, but I've bought it, so I'm going to. Holy fuck! If you haven't listened to part 1 of Sandman, I highly recommend go to Audible, download that part 1 drama series. Holy shit. That is what got me into audiobooks. That series right there. It's absolutely amazing. Neil Gaiman. It's got a complete voice actor cast. It is absolutely fucking amazing. And if you don't like it, I'll give you $2 for the book you paid for. All right? Like, I'll pay for that book for you if you don't like it. But I promise you, if you buy it, you'll fucking love it. So All right, cool. Well, let's move on to the show that we've all seen. Let's talk about some Doom Patrol, because last week I hadn't watched the first 3 episodes. I have now, and I've watched the 4th episode. Dude, this show is fucked up. Like, in all kinds of ways.
Zombies, really?
In all
Really?
kinds of ways. And not even zombies. Zombies that don't even do zombie things.
They
You
talk
know?
in the zombie language.
Zombies that,
What is that all
exactly.
about?
Zombies that stand there. Like, seriously. Like, what the fuck? But you know what? It's so good. Doom Patrol. I don't care.
It's like it's almost like they were trying to go off in like a seriousness, but then it's just like we're just gonna shoot off this way for a minute just to kind of, I don't know. I guess it gets too heavy, and then it's like, okay, let's just throw some just utter foolishness into it because it's still crazy as hell.
Dude, just when I think this show can't throw me something more stupid, they do. You know? And it's one of those things that, like, yeah, it's stupid, but that's the point of the show.
It. I mean,
I'm still gonna watch it. That's the point of the show, you know. Like I get it. That's really fucking dumb, but okay, no problem. Like, you're gonna make a whole city orgasm. Okay, no problem. I get
and now
that.
Danny's an ambulance.
Danny's an ambulance. Yeah. Well, he's taken Dorothy to wherever she's going, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not like Dorothy last season at all, man. That character bothered me.
Yeah.
No, that character bothered me. I did not like her. It was just like, oh, I can't stand seeing her on screen. In just 1.5 episodes in season 3, I've already started to like that character. Now I want to know where her story goes. I want to know where she's going with Danny. I wanted to know where she was going with Niles Calder, but then after this episode, it's like, well, what the hell are they doing with Niles Calder? Because, like, is this guy dead? Is he not?
I thought he was before. And next thing I know, I'm like, what
burnt. Yeah, like what the hell's going on with him?
I thought it was interesting, like this last episode with the idea of like the death. You know, that was just kind of crazy. And then you bring in those other three, those two little fellows are ghosts. And the other chick, I guess she's like a psychic or some shit. And I'm like, okay, they're kind of weird. I'm like, what are you trying to? And like the one conversation that Larry had with, oh hell, what's his name? The one that started with the E, the blonde-haired boy. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So is this kind of full between the two? But I don't know. It's just been. And the spider lady.
I know that if you're gonna have me personally, you know, if you're gonna have Diane Guerrero eating some ass, like, that's a totally different video than I'm looking for when I type it into Google. I'm just saying, you know, I love her as an actress. I was
hoping to hell I'd never have to see that shit again because oh my god, I had to like blank that out. I'm like, and then I was like, oh god.
I love her as an actress because she does a great job in this show. But that moment where she just dives head into that ass, I'm like, well, okay, cool. I can now you can Google, you know, Diane Guerrero eats ass and you'll find a video for it.
Well, my thing is the first thing when I saw that, I was like, oh my god. When you say like a raging humoral asshole, I mean, okay, there it is in full view. Visual. Oh my god.
This show holds nothing back. Holds absolutely nothing back.
But did you see the sex ghosts?
Oh yeah.
Got to see them again.
In this episode? I know they complained about them, but I didn't see them.
Oh, yeah. You saw them. There was like one of them. Then they said, because of the other little chick, I can't remember her name, the one that was like the psychic. She said one name. She's like, oh, yeah, that's their safe word for all of them.
Turnip.
So that's how they disappear. I was like,
turnip was the word.
Yeah. Was it turnip? I was like, okay.
Great word. So, Ross, what did you think, man? I know you had caught up last week and none of us had. And now we're into episode 4. So mainly talking about episode 4. Is it still good for you? You love Doom Patrol?
I was not like, I saw all the previews for the zombie episode and I'm like, you know, because they showed Rita licking Larry's head and they're like, how are they going to get there? The fact that they keep killing them in this show
right.
And we're only on episode 4. I mean, it was just something that I was not expecting so fast. So there's this one moment in this episode where they mention, I can't remember what they ended up calling her, but the woman that didn't have a name, the one that came back in time.
Right.
Well, I'll just go back a week. No, last week wasn't that good.
Right.
2 weeks. Actually, 2
I'll go
weeks.
back
We
2
were
weeks.
doing
Yeah.
like
They're like
Maybe she should
seven,
go back,
seven
like,
good. We're like,
weeks before it was
yeah, it might be
good.
good.
Yeah. No, I like that.
That whole part. I mean, it's funny because you just get like, why do you want to see Niles? I want to punch him in the face. Yeah, that sounds right. What?
Right.
Shut up, Cheeto Dick. That's what I got known as my whole entire life. I mean, all these clips just keep coming at you,
Right.
and you're just like, fuck.
So, are we gonna see Niles again? Like, is he just gonna be like this this presence in every episode from here on out, or are we actually gonna see the guy alive again?
Unless he shows up like the unicorn horse, Baphomet,
Something
whatever
like
that.
Yeah, something like yeah.
Unless he shows up in that form, or unless he's going to be,
A force ghost
doing it.
again.
Well,
Doing
she
it
told
up in
him
the-
straight up like the unicorn horse, don't summon me again unless you have something serious. So she was done with that shit.
Look at this show. Everything is serious.
That's right.
Every time they turn
Very, very
around,
true.
they're dusting up fucking every last weird thing you come up with. I don't know. I love how serious he is about getting help and gets on the Skype call with a psychiatrist.
Oh, you're talking about Cliff / Robot Man.
When he's just sitting there talking the whole time, and she just looks like the screen's frozen.
All right.
Well, his
Goddamn
screen's
TikTokers, I
cracked
can't do this anymore. I mean, what I love about this show is what I don't get from clearly like the CW shows, to where they just kind of you're waiting for the interest to come back. With this show, you're just every 5 seconds
Well, I'm not gonna
you're
lie,
in
man.
it for something.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When somebody says "what the fuck," it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm gonna look and see what's going on. So, and when you do that 75 times in a show, it makes me look 75 times. So,
And when you know something crazy happens, and within that first sentence, especially out of Jane's mouth or Cliff's mouth or whatever, fuck is gonna be in there somewhere.
oh yeah.
It might be toward the first, the middle, or the end of the sentence, but it's gonna be in there somewhere.
I challenged Doom Patrol to do an episode with Cliff Steele and not say the word fuck. I challenged them, and now I've got to put the explicit because we passed our fucks for this show, where I can't say it's explicit anymore. It's not explicit anymore. So, oh well, fuck it.
Now, I did enjoy the fact that Cliff got to see his dad. He got to kind of lay that down, which
yeah.
I don't know.
I like the clip with his daughter too, with the granddaughter. That's nice. But I look at Cliff Steele as the comedy relief in these shows. Like, granted, most of everything they're doing is funny and kind of comedic, but he's the guy that pulls you away from the fake comedy. You know what I mean? Like, the comedy is meant to make you laugh and makes you laugh at things you're not supposed to laugh. Like, when I say makes you laugh at shit you're not supposed to laugh at, that sounds funnier than laugh at stuff you're not supposed to laugh at, right? Yeah, that's what he does. He just basically adds a curse word in there and says fuck the bullshit, and it makes it way funnier. So that's my guy. I like Cliff.
But I will say, after all the episodes I've seen of all the Doom Patrol, this was the only one where I was just like, oh, it just it was a little gory than most, but I was just like, oh. But I'm not a fan of zombies, and this was
okay.
Even though it was ridiculous and just so crazy, because I'm like, how are they like, and you have subtitles, because I'm like, how in the hell are you supposed to understand that?
I love that
they're
part,
like,
actually.
and
I love that they
Larry
did that.
like falls down the stairs, and it's like, oh, just if you even see him watching, his foot's like turned this way. I'm thinking, what? But I mean, granted, they already came back from.
They did.
They were like in a box. I mean, their bodies were like in a box. I'm like, how does that even happen? I mean, that's just nuts. I don't know. It's just these last two episodes were just crazy, just absolutely just crazy. But like I said, I can only say this was the only one where I was just kind of like, whew. I said that this might be getting to my limit, but I pushed on.
I'm actually with Ross on this one. I enjoyed this episode, but I do have questions about it. Like, so what's going on with Niles Calder? Like, now we've buried him, burnt him, and eaten him. Like, when is this guy going to be gone? Like, when are we going to stop talking about Niles Calder? When is he not going to be in existence? We've seen his spirit somewhere. We've seen, I guess, his soul, the exact same somewhere. Is this guy unkillable? Like,
Well, I mean,
what's
he
up with
was
him?
James Bond at one point in time, so
Sure.
I think that I don't think they burned him yet. I think that they ended up burying him. She was supposed to burn him.
Oh,
or
she
Cliff was
burned
supposed
a
to, but he
dummy.
was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck that! I'm not going to burn him." That's what he wanted. The whole head, speaker mouth, all of that. Only in
Weird.
Doom Patrol. Only in Doom Patrol.
Weird.
Yeah.
Look, Neil Gaiman has an insane mind for this kind of stuff. You know, like I can't explain it. It's something if you told me beforehand, this is the way it's going to be, I'd be like, fuck no, I'm not reading that. I'm not watching that. But I don't know. I see it firsthand and I like it. So yeah. Now
Can
that
you
I see it,
imagine
I'd
these
read it. I'd watch it.
writers sitting in their writer's room or whoever, like coming up with all these ideas? And it's like, okay, let's just throw the most outlandish thing we can think of and just see what sticks. And usually probably I just want to know what ideas that they threw out there they didn't write about.
Right. What doesn't make the cut?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well, I guarantee you they get in the room like, all right, who's the highest? You? All right, you're writing the show this week. All right, you're the highest. You're
Start
writing
us
the show
off.
this week. That's right. You got
I mean,
this.
it's like
So there's these asses, right? I know they used them in last episode or last
Holy
season.
shit.
But we needed
Shit.
something
And
different.
Diane
So we gotta
Guerrero's
step
going
it
to
up.
eat one of these asses, just so you know. Like, it's going to be great. Everybody's going to love
Zombie
it.
and a werewolf asshole. And then at
Right.
the very end, during our credit scene, we're going to give you a zombie werewolf asshole.
Yes. Yes. And that will make it perfect.
yeah. So I think it's
I
like
tell you
more-
what did make me cringe when they're all slowly losing it and getting colored and everything else. When Cyborg pulls his sleeve back and pulls the skin with it.
Oh,
And I was
yeah,
like,
that got me too.
oh.
Yeah, that got me too. Because I was like,
I was like, we
that's
have
kinda
reached
gross.
perhaps a
like-
bridge too far.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. This episode is like it kind of pushes to where you're like, have I finally reached my limit? Have I finally
Yeah.
reached my limit? Because right now I'm just like, it's like I almost want to look away.
I mean, they're not holding back by any means. Like I
Mm-mm.
said, this is HBO Max, this is Doom Patrol, and this is its own thing.
Well, that's what
we
we
know-
wondered too, because when it came from DC Universe over to HBO Max, so
Well,
you wonder it's like
Well, it's
how much
connected
more.
to Titans. Remember, we had a Titans appearance
Yeah,
in the first season,
Which
so
I
it's
think
connected
is how
to
I-
Titans.
Got
Yeah.
to the whole thing.
Well, no, I think the Titans appearance was like episode 8 or 9 of the first season. So they
Because
had
that's where
planned
Gar
on it
was
being the same
first.
universe.
that's
Yeah.
when you first met Gar. It's
Right.
because
That's
it
how
was
I
like the
started
rest of
watching
them.
Right,
Titans,
because
actually.
Gar
So
was the thing that
backwards.
connected them.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So it's connected, but I still wouldn't put Doom Patrol in the same universe as even say Titans. Like, if Doom Patrol is in the same universe as Titans, what the fuck is going on in Titans? Like, seriously, like, you guys have some serious problems going on in other parts of the world you need to worry about rather than damn Red Hood and Scarecrow.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Doom
Yeah.
Patrol deals more with like the supernatural type craziness.
Well, I wouldn't say supernatural, to be honest with you, because I think Doom Patrol is more supernatural. I think.
That's what I'm saying. Doom Patrol is
Doom
more
that's what
Patrol.
she's saying.
Sorry, I
supernatural.
thought you
Yes.
said yeah. Sorry,
Mm-mm.
my fault. No, I agree. Yeah, Doom Patrol is right there with the supernatural, the stuff that you'd look at and be like, "What the fuck?" Put
I
it on
mean,
Doom Patrol.
You just
Niles was like 140 years old, right? And so,
One
I mean,
thirty-six.
you had just like sex
Yeah,
ghosts
so he-
everywhere
36. Yeah.
in the
he
corner
spent
over there.
his
just
whole
doing
life
their-
just trying to get it all. I mean, clearly he made Cliff. He did all of those other. Well, I guess if he had a hand in all of them, but
Mhm.
So,
clearly supernatural.
oh yeah. Well, before we move on from Doom Patrol, do y'all have any theories on what the secret is? Like, because we haven't been revealed yet. I thought we were gonna see it, episode 2, but it didn't happen. And then
I mean, with the box.
with the box, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if I could probably even beg to come up with something because who the hell knows?
Right? Who knows with Doom Patrol? Exactly. Yeah. That's what I
Because
was
it doesn't
thinking,
really
too.
follow sometimes like a
But apparently,
realistic
Rita is
or
the
a
one to carry that legacy on. You know.
She
Well,
clearly
it's funny
loves
that
doing
Niles gave that to
Oh, yeah.
Rita But it was just funny that Niles gave that kind of responsibility to Rita, because I'm like, well, she's
Well,
just
but
as
who else would
unhinged
she
as the
give?
rest of
Who
them.
else would he give it to in the Doom Patrol, other than maybe Jane? Who else would he give
No,
it to?
you don't give anything to Jane.
No,
You
no,
give her
yeah,
a paintbrush and you see what her crazy mind comes up with.
right, yeah, I get that.
What are you
I
gonna
don't know.
do? I'm
I
gonna
guess we're gonna find out though.
flick this pick.
That's kind of the MacGuffin for the season, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what the secret is. So we're gonna find out, and you know she's gonna use it this season, whatever the hell it is. She's gonna use it. That's the point of it this season. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. But y'all got anything else you want to say about Doom Patrol?
I think Rita showing up in that old footage was they
At
just
the
give
very
you
end?
a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and it's always just enough to make you be like, "Ooh."
Well,
what's
remember
next?
she was a minor actress before she became the Blob. So I'm wondering if maybe she was an understudy, maybe she was a reason somebody didn't get a role, something like that. We're gonna see what happens in the future with that.
I mean, that video has people turned into birds. I don't think that's just a standard Hollywood movie. That looks like some.
That's what I'm saying. Logic plays no part in
Yeah.
this.
No, not at all.
Yep.
We had giant rats last season. We had a town orgasm. Yeah, there's no logic here.
You had that's when you were first introduced to the butts. I'm like, oh my god.
Right. Right.
And they brought him
And I
back.
forgot
Oh
all
my
about
God.
Darren. I forgot all about that dude.
That's the
Like-
best part about the show is you can forget about that kind of shit, and still when it comes
Yeah.
back, it's like, oh shit, I remember him. Yeah,
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I still miss Mr. Nobody
Oh yeah.
on the first season.
Dude, anything Alan Tudyk does is pretty good.
What do we got behind you here?
Austin, move. Come here. Move. Come here.
Tell him step forward.
Hey, come here.
Say this is Sparta.
There you go.
Can't do it. Awesome move.
It's fun. We have our not completed, but this is our Dr. Fate. So
Oh, nice. Very
It's a good
nice.
start. Good
Yeah.
start.
You like that? Okay. Goodbye. We're working on later.
She says, "You like that? Goodbye."
It's October 1st. Take
I
it
love
off.
it.
You have to
Yeah,
I
wear
love
it.
it. She's a
exactly.
parent. I love it. Oh, good deal.
Are you gonna turn
all
it
right,
on?
well-
Oh, one last thing.
Let's
Oh,
let's
let's
move.
see.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I like it.
Should have let off with that.
Dude, you know I'm a helmet guy. So like any kind of helmet mesmerizes me. I like that. Nice helmet.
All right,
all
so
right,
That's a paint job away from a Mandalorian helmet.
That's
kind
a
of.
paint job away from a male Mandalorian helmet, sir.
Oh.
That's all I got to say. And I got a male Mandalorian helmet in my truck right now. So next time I go deliver. But I don't know.
See, that should be code for something that's really nerdy and inappropriate, but
Nah, nerdy and inappropriate is my middle name, right? That's what I do.
Jesus, what a mouthful.
Greg, nerdy and inappropriate Schlager. I like that. I'm gonna change it. I like it. All right, well, let's go on to the next show then. Let's talk about. I don't want to talk about What If right now because Ross, I'm gonna tear you a new asshole with What If. Let's that sounded dirty. Let's talk about Titans.
Yes.
Okay, so last week I hadn't caught up on Titans. You know, caught up this week, watched the latest episode. What the fuck? Like, what the hell? I'm sorry. Look, I'll go ahead and tell you. Last week's episode that I wasn't able to comment on because I hadn't been able to watch it yet. Holy shit, what a great episode.
Are you
This
happy
week's
we didn't
episode-
spoil it for you?
This week's episode, yeah, I'm very happy you didn't spoil the whole thing for me, but yes.
Hmm.
This week's episode, filler, like just to get to the next episode. Like, what the fuck? None of this it mattered at all. I didn't even see any of it. You could have skipped the entire episode and gone to the next one. I'd have been just fine. But let's talk about last week's episode first a little bit with the I guess what you call purgatory, where they're kind of stuck in between dying and going to hell because they're all going to hell.
On the train.
Hell exists. Yeah, and they did the metaphor of the long train exactly. Yeah, what I mean, y'all spoke about it a little bit last week, but you spoiled me for it. What did you think about that? I know you mentioned how great it was to have Donna back, which I think is. I'm not gonna lie. I think that based on where they left you at in Themyscira, where for weeks, months, however long it's been, they've been trying to pull Donna back, and Raven's been trying to pull Donna back. And then all of a sudden it's just, well, she's just got to get off the train. and you know she can come back. She's got to get off the train and find the bridge. It's like she can come back. It's like that was kind of a cop out. It seems like to me, even
But you
though
see
they
what I'm
hadn't
saying about
released anything of
Themyscira?
its
Because I
origin
was just
story.
like that. It was just kind of that was just not what I was used to. That's not what I have thought would have envisioned.
I think they tried to lean too far into what you saw in Wonder Woman 84 for Themyscira, to be honest with you. I think they leaned really hard into that, and it was like, that's not my ideal Themyscira.
Mm-mm.
You know? Like, I get it.
That's
Not everybody gets it right on the first time. Not
mhm.
everybody knows everything, and you're always, you know, being able to be taught things from younger generations or from people who know or who have different ideas. I don't think that Raven, who's not from there, would be the one who'd be like, "Hey, you guys are doing this wrong, just so you know," and be right about it. You know, like
That part definitely did feel weird. Like,
yeah,
this is not your home. You don't get to make those calls.
right. That's kind of what it was like to me. And don't get me
Wait.
wrong, it doesn't mean she's wrong.
Why are you here?
That's more my thing. Yes, why are you here? Like, what made Raven go to Themyscira to try to resurrect Donna Troy? Like, I don't
Like
see that. It's
what
not
make her think
believable
she
to
could
me.
do that? I don't know. It was just I don't know. But then
Well,
again, I mean, how
for
Donna
me,
died.
right, right, and I do love how in this episode of Titans, and there was one example in What If that we're coming up on soon, where they pick on themselves.
Hmm.
You know, where she gets shocked by a taser, and she's like, "No, I've been through that before." You know, and it's like, obviously, we know you're a god. Electricity's not going to kill you. We all know that was really fucking stupid. They killed you with that in the last episode of last season. But it's funny that you're picking on it now with a
Mhm.
taser. You know, I thought that was pretty funny. Um, I don't know, man. Like, I love Donna Troy. I love the actress. I love the character. I would rather see her than Raven. I'd rather see her than Starfire. I'd rather see her than any female in the Titans show. To be true, well, okay, no, not rather than Dove. I'd rather see Dove than her. But that's
I'll
strictly
second that.
Hey, that's strictly cosmetics. That's not acting. But um, I'm glad they brought her back. I just hate that they brought her back and they gave you the hope that Hank would come back too. And they give
See, I didn't
Hank
think that
That
was going to happen.
sucked.
I didn't think it was going to happen either. Like they give Hank this huge sacrifice and oh, you get to see Hank and Dove again in hell or in purgatory where they are. That doesn't work for me. Like I'm hoping that by the end of the season Hank has found his way back to Earth because apparently in purgatory between hell and when you're dying, you can find a bridge to bring you back to Earth, bring you back to life that nobody ever knew about.
It's
I'm hoping
Alaska.
that
It's a bridge
yeah,
to nowhere.
exactly. It's Alaska. I'm hoping that Hank finds that because he's one of my favorite characters in the show. Uh, you know, I would I would take Hank and over Raven, over Beast Boy, over Superboy, over any male and Raven in the series, to be truly honest with you. Like they should have gotten rid of Beast Boy, who is completely pointless and has no purpose, and you can turn him into a tiger once every 19 episodes and look cool. Like I'd much rather have Hank. You know? I mean, am I right? He's a tiger every 19 episodes
And
for
it wasn't
two and a half
just
seconds, and then he's
that.
Beast
When
Boy,
we
and then he has green hair.
saw when we saw him turn into the tiger again, and I'm like, guess what's gonna be there? And then he turned around and there's a trank gun and there's the tiger getting tranked. And I'm like,
Right.
it feels like they always have kryptonite ready for Superman. Like because your kryptonite is essentially something you can get anywhere.
Right.
And then he turns into an animal and then
Strength gun. Well, and more importantly, Blackfire is supposed to be, the queen of another planet and all powerful, and she just gets shot, like just randomly gets shot off a deflection off Superboy's hand. Like it's like, all right,
that felt like it was a means to an end. And
yeah,
then the end did not feel like it was a great payoff because of the means, because she got shot and the transfer of power. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to believe that this is how easy it could be, but man, this does not seem like how this should work.
Right. It seems like she could have done that transfer of power at any point in time.
Yeah.
Before this. I agree. And I do hate this they've made Superboy into like a love struck. Yeah, love struck bitch, I guess I could say.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, this guy could take care of every problem they have. Basically like that, with a snap of a finger, And they refuse to use it. But it's the same thing with Superman in the comics or the Flash in the comics. You literally cannot, like, if you really sit down and look at it, you really cannot beat Superman or the Flash ever, anytime, ever in history. It's not going to happen. But we have to develop stories where they can't win to make it interesting.
Well,
but realistically, those two guys are never losing anything ever.
The thing about Starfire and Blackfire, it's like the only thing I could figure how that would work is the fact that Starfire actually, she was trying to help her. It's like she became kind of vulnerable. So if she was willing, and I don't know if I'm still kind of on the fence if Blackfire knew she was doing this or if it was kind of like an accidental thing. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff where I'm still on the fence about Blackfire. I'm not quite sure what her intentions really are. Because you say, oh yeah, well, I'm on your side, I'm on this, but yeah, you're still doing shit that looks like you're pretty damn shady. So
okay, that's my question then. Obviously you think she's kind of shady. Ross, do you think Blackfire is legit, or she has a bigger end game to what she's doing?
I think they're just trying to do character struggle with her.
Okay.
Because I thought that Starfire was just going to like cauterize the wound, and then it turned into like she gave her power. Well, unknowingly gave her powers, and then because I think that they keep playing too hard on the Starfire angle. I think they keep trying to make her continue to act bitchy because of the way that she views her sister. And I think her sister is looking for, it's almost like she wants to change, but she keeps hitting that wall because, she cried wolf way too many times. And like now here they are. But I think that you're going to see Blackfire come back and be a force that actually helps. I don't know where this power thing is going to go, but I mean, I think that she's going to be an eventual player in the good versus evil at the end, or at the beginning of next season. I don't know. Who knows how they play it.
Well, this is the problem that I'm seeing with this season, and they could fix it. They're better writers than me. I think that by the end of the season, that Red Hood is going to be turning, be a good guy. I think that by the end of the season, Blackfire is going to turn and be a good girl. Then you have the rest of the Titans, but your villain is Scarecrow. So
dude, he's playing those mind games, man.
All these, yeah, but you're going to have all these superpowered beings coming together against Scarecrow. And I just don't think that the means justify the ends, to be really honest with you. I think that you should have had a bigger villain. That was and maybe they still could. We're not done yet. I think you need to have a bigger villain than Scarecrow to be the one that's running, that's pulling strings on the whole deal. Like, I like the actor they have for Scarecrow. I think he's done a great job. I like the character in the show. I just don't buy that he is keeping Jason Todd under control, and that eventually when the Titans come together, that they're not going to be able to defeat him somewhat easily. I'm pretty sure that Dick Grayson could beat the shit out of him pretty easily. It's
a psychological angle. It's not just a physical with Scarecrow. It's like the whole psychological thing, because like right now where you stand, you have the city of Gotham. He's basically turned them against the police force and the Titans. So it's like
perfect thinking, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's more of a psychological thing versus it, because Scarecrow is he's not gonna be a physical guy, period. I mean, that's obvious. So it's just that psychological factor, and it's just because you had Jason there where he was like, well, I was almost ready to go there back to the Titans. And then when he walks into Wayne Manor, Scarecrow pulls down that painting and he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, you you do the honors. You do the honors. Jason, because Jason still, he seems still kind of torn. He doesn't really know which way he wants to go. And then it's just like I said, that psychological factor kicked in, because especially the way, Bruce treated him, saying, well, I don't want you to be Robin. You're not ready. And he's like, Bruce, come on, man. Just give me the, and it's like, and then you see that click right there. And it's just like, and then he knifes that painting. So, I mean, it's just going to be that psychological torment. It's just like, okay, look at Barbara. I mean, she basically shot.
I'll look at Barbara. No problem. Sorry.
I mean, she shot that.
That's why she crosses her legs, Greg.
That's right. Yeah. Well, not because she has to. Right.
She has one.
But
she has one leg. But anyway. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was an interesting factor too, because all throughout this season, seeing Barbara Gordon, you see, the background of how badass she is. I mean, I know she's still badass even though she's in a chair, but still, I'm like, how strong are you really, lady? I mean, I know you've been through a lot of shit. Don't get me wrong, but you're still like the police commissioner, and I mean, I need to see you kind of step up and be like, look, damn it, this is the shit. This is what the hell we're going to do.
All right.
So for her to stand up, and even still working with Dick, because I still feel like he kind of pulled a lot of strings. He was still kind of like forefront on a lot of the planning and whatnot. So for her to actually stand up against, a member of, even though we know he's crooked as hell, but still, she just took his ass out. I'm just like,
right.
Okay, I got a newfound respect for you, lady. But let's see what's going to happen now. So,
yeah. Well, the thing that gets me with this whole show, and I get it, it's like this in the comics too, is Jason Todd will never beat Dick Grayson. Period, hands down. There's just hand-to-hand combat. You're not going to beat this guy. He's better than you. Period, point blank. He's like Big Brother. You might be as or close to as good as him one day, but you're never going to beat him. You're never going to beat him in basketball. He's always going to beat you in 21. That's all there is to it. And we've seen this numerous times in this season where Jason's tried to beat Dick, and it just doesn't happen. So at what point in time do you realize that this is never going to happen if you're Jason Todd? And like for me, it kind of makes the final battle anticlimactic, because the final battle is going to be between Jason and Dick. And that's going to be the moment where Jason Todd makes the turn to be the good guy. He probably saves Dick from something. Just guessing. He probably saves Dick from something and becomes the good guy. Proves to him that he's, good. Like at what point in time, if you're Jason, are you just like, I just can't beat this guy? It's not going to happen.
Jason's story has been, I did not like this episode when it came to Jason, because clearly, like, they were actually, I'm not even sure if I like this season with Jason. I keep trying to get more. I want him to act and do more. I want him to be a better character than he is, and he's not. Like he's not
in the DC animated universe. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. Sorry.
All right, but we're talking about Titans, so I'm not getting it. And like this season or this episode specifically, it felt like he went straight from being sad because last episode didn't work out for him to stabbing the painting like a freak. And
right.
I felt
for
like
no
that
reason.
whole entire transition was just like, I'm like, maybe they truly are trying to show how screwed up he is in the head, but
he's being like master manipulated by a Scarecrow. I mean, and that's obvious.
Yeah. And actually, I don't remember how many weeks ago it was. Whenever Clay was on here last, he brought up the fact that they were kind of retelling part of the Dark Knight story with the Scarecrow and the water and everything else. And I wanted them to go a different direction with it, and they didn't. And like now I can do nothing but completely side with what Clay said. I believe I may be remembering that whole thing wrong, but the fact that they just don't change the story enough, because the people that are watching this show have seen everything else. The people that are watching this show are Batman and Batman universe fans, Titans fans, and they want something else, and I want something else. And I thought they were going to be able to weave the story in much better to make it something different than what we have already gotten. And after this episode, I'm like, that and Jason, and I was kind of,
well, the only issue,
I want to like it more.
The only issue with that, Ross, is that's a double-edged sword. because, like, just for example, last season they did the Jericho arc, which is a huge arc in the comics, and they do that to pay homage to people who have read the comics and know the source material. But if you don't do it exactly like most people want you to do it, then you might as well have not done it at all, type thing,
And I'm
and
fine with the
people get
comic.
pissed off about that. Well, it's the same way with Jason Todd with this episode or with this season. Like the introduction, like if you watch the movie, if you read the book, like Red Hood, like what he does with the duffel bag with the heads, like the introduction of the characters, like all that's really cool. Like, oh, cool, that's paying homage to the comics. Then there's certain things they do to kind of stray away from that, and it makes people pissed off. So like you can either, it depends on what crowd you want to cater to be truly honest with you, I feel. Do you want to cater to the ones who know this story and are like totally into it? And my prime example would be Star Wars. Like, do you want to cater to Star Wars fans, or do you want to tell a slightly different story and try to get more new people involved? Now, granted, I liked the story that was in place before. I loved the Red Hood. I loved the animated movie. I loved the book. Like, so you didn't need to tell me a different story, but I was okay with hearing a different story, just me personally. Now, I know there are some people who that's their gospel. They don't want to hear anything else, like don't change it. And I get that, but you've got to attempt to pay a little homage to the source material and still tell something new. One for the people who haven't read anything or seen anything before, so they have something totally new. And two, for the people who have read this story 1,000 times, have seen the movie 1,000 times, and want to see it be respected in that manner, but give me something a little different, so that way I have a little surprise in what I'm doing. And for me, that was kind of what it was. That they paid enough homage to the key points, the story points that made me say, "This is Red Hood," Then they changed it up just enough where I'm like, well, what the fuck are they doing? Not in a bad way, but like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, seriously. And now it's getting to a point where as it plays out, I see more what they're doing, and I appreciate it. But I think it all just depends on what kind of fan you're catering to. And I think that for this series, for this story, they're catering to a more broad audience. They want somebody who is what I would consider general audience, not a comic book reader or viewer, a general audience to appreciate this show. Like, I should be able to tell my friends about this show and then have no comic book knowledge at all and be able to watch it and like it. And that's what they're going for, I think, to be really honest with you.
Well, and I totally support that because I always want to see something that's new, but always also pays homage to the source. My only thing is that from beginning to end of this episode, I wanted to get a little bit more out of Jason, like a little bit more grit, like a little bit more.
He seems he seems lost. I mean, it's just like sometimes,
Yes,
it's like he does have a purpose. Next thing you know, he's just like this angst-ridden kid that's just like, he's like sullen and, he doesn't want anybody to tell him what to do. But yet, dude, you have you've like totally lost your way. You don't even know which way you're going. You don't know if you want to go with Scarecrow, if you want to go with Titans. I mean, it's just like somebody's just telling you, and you just like an angry, sullen kid.
That's probably the best way of saying it. I don't like Jason's arc because I feel like he's just waiting on someone to tell him something.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is no making your own decision without other heavy influences. And like I said, that with mixing the recycled Scarecrow Batman Begins thing into it with the water, I know that you can only do so much with Scarecrow with how he gets his stuff out there. But we also know that Scarecrow was a previous badass. He had the mask. He had, he was one of Batman's ultimate takedowns and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, like, where are we with his innovation of how he is going to be a villain? And I enjoy much more the inside breakdown story of getting broken out of Arkham and, trying to confuse the hell out of Dick Grayson, to using Barbara to override the computer. And like, I love all of that. I just want a little bit more than poison in the water supply.
I get that.
Maybe it's just me.
No, I
Yeah, I
get
want
that.
more intricacies of, like I said, the psychological side. I want more intricacies on that. I mean, it's just kind of like he's just like some crazy dude running around and
Right. You want to see
smoking pot.
a little more reason to what he's
Yeah, I mean, I want
feeling.
to see a little
I
more
get that. I get
direction. I
that.
mean, it just seems
He
like you're
seems
just throwing
scrambling.
some crazy, it's just like no forethought. I mean, you kind of see where he's going, but then it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that I hate, fucking hate this show has done, and it's made me so fucking upset. Is they have completely destroyed Bruce Wayne. Like, this guy is signing away his estate and wanting to burn himself to death. Fuck that, man. That's not Batman. I'm sorry, y'all. Batman's my fucking hero. Okay? That's
I
my
agree with you on
guy.
that. I agree with you on
Don't do
that.
that to Bruce Wayne. I don't give a damn how old he is or what he's been through. Batman doesn't do that. And that pissed me off seeing the show. I was like, I don't like that. And of course, Donna Troy saves him and whatever. But come on, man. Like, Bruce Wayne does not give up. That's what pussies do. And Bruce Wayne is not a pussy. Okay? Sorry. Just saying. Yeah.
I agree with you on that because I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, what is up with this dude? Because I'm like, that's why it's so hard for me to see this Bruce Wayne as Batman. It to
Right.
me, it's just
Yeah.
you're
No,
just saying, okay, oh, it's Batman. No,
I
it's
could buy it
not.
before. I really could buy it
Not
before.
after
But
these last few
after what I've seen
episodes.
this season, I can't buy him as Batman anymore. Like, fuck that.
No.
That's not my Batman.
Put his
You
ass
know?
in a damn wheelchair because I mean that's
Unless
about
he
how.
comes back in a badass suit and beats the shit out of Superman with Green Arrow's help, I'm done with him. I'm done with that Batman. You know. So, but
I have to agree with you on that one. That's that has kind of like unnerved me for a little bit too because I'm just like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it for this season.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't work for me, and it feels weird because it feels like the Batman story is very contrived to make the Titan story work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
I think that's what they're doing.
I get it's a Titan show, but you don't even have to involve Batman like that much if you want to tell a Titan story, let alone ruin his fucking name. And I just, it doesn't work for me. That part got me, but yeah, that's my phone. All right, well, you have anything else you want to say about Titans?
You got 3 episodes left.
3 more. So
let's see Raven get a little more badass. I mean, let's jump into it. Let's
Raven and Donna are back now,
yes.
right? So that's a good thing. We're gonna hopefully see them in the future, and maybe they'll be what we need to defeat Scarecrow.
Get that upswing.
Because Dick Grayson couldn't beat the fuck out of Scarecrow anyway to begin with. So
Connor's thunderclap wasn't
right.
enough to
Yeah,
shut
exactly.
down all the
Superboy couldn't beat Scarecrow to begin with. Exactly. So all right, cool. Well, let's move on then. Let's go on to the one that is my bane for the evening.
Let's
Ross,
hear it. Go ahead.
Ross, man, I know you're a big MCU guy, and I like MCU. I love MCU. I'm not trying to talk too much shit, but man, they have got to get their fucking story straight about time travel and fucking multiverses. What the fuck is going on with
what if? It's what if.
No, I get it's what if. I get that. But you can't have in one series of this universe say that Infinity Gauntlets are nothing more than fucking paperweights in the real world, blah 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 blah. And then in this world, all of a sudden, Ultron gets one. He can fucking find the Watcher and defeat him. Fuck that. Like, fuck that shit. For real. That is, for me, that's bad story writing. Because you have made these things minuscule and nothing. Like, you've made it clear they mean nothing in the big picture. But all of a sudden, when this robot gets them, he can take over the Watcher? Get the fuck out of here. Like, for me, that just didn't fly. I was like, come on, Marvel. You could write better than that.
Okay.
Come on.
This is the one thing that I saw, and I swear, my kid, he watched it afterwards, and even Brian came in, he said, word for word. Why didn't he do that to begin with? Talking about Vision just right, Thanos right.
Exactly.
Why didn't you do it to begin with?
Exactly. Why didn't you do that in Endgame? Why didn't you just fucking slice that little bitch in half?
People's misery.
Yes.
Because Vision has morals and ethics. He's built on Jarvis.
Not when it comes to saving the entire universe.
He
There's
didn't
no
realize what he
morals.
was doing.
Greater good. Greater good. That's all I gotta say.
What bothers me is that thanks to WandaVision, we know that gum can take Vision's body down. And no
Right.
one thought to use gum.
Right. Right.
Good point. Good point.
And then see, that's what I'm saying, man. It's the little bitty things, like little bitty things trying to be funny, little bitty things trying to have a little fun story arc. And I get it. This multiverse they're introducing is not necessarily connected or whatever with, but man, come on. Like you can't just write any damn thing you want to and say, "Oh, well, it's not connected or it's a different multiverse," and it'd be okay. Like there's got to be some sense of continuity in this. Like,
Well,
and if there's not, then what the fuck? I'll go read story tale or fairy tales with my kids. You know, like what is that?
you bring up the Infinity Stones,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, there's been a couple things. The downside of this show being on Wednesday is we have to wait a couple days to talk about it rather than just doing like right off the top, saying how we feel about it. The Infinity Stones, as far as Loki goes, has always been a murky situation because
Murky.
if the TVA exists outside of the multiverse, which I don't know if you can really say that because at the end of the events of Loki, you get the King statue.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it exists outside of the multiverse, then like how does that part happen? The stones were said, I believe, in the show that they don't have any power outside of either one, their specific universe, or two, outside of like the omniverse, or I guess if you would consider that. But in like the TVA's hands are essentially just stones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say I don't know the specifics of that.
Mm.
If the stones don't have any weight outside their own universe or outside of all universes.
Right.
But I mean, you also see him use the Mind Stone to take out the glove. I mean, that glove is, what is that?
He doesn't take out the glove. He takes out Thanos. He splits that motherfucker right down the dick. You know?
But that's not like that ability to do that with the Mind Stone. I don't think was new. I mean, clearly he's never cut anyone in half before. Like I said, Vision rather than Ultron was built on a moral and ethical based AI. The difference is that if you have, when he used the Mind Stone, he took the glove out just to get the other stones. And to me, that was, I mean, clearly killing Thanos, I believe, was just a kind of a, you get nice Thanos in one episode, and then this one you get like, that's what you get. That's what you deserve. You know, but
I was happy. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, I mean, there wasn't
like,
anyone that
yes.
wasn't happy.
Right. Well, you know, I like a good villain. Like, it would have been cool to see a good fight there. But yeah, I don't mind seeing the good guy win.
I feel that. Actually, I'll say this. I never thought that I would miss James Spader's voice as much as I did.
Okay.
Because it
didn't have that same power, that same oomph to it.
Which is weird because the first time I saw Age of Ultron, I was like, whew. It felt to me like the way I felt about Bane in Dark Knight Rises. You know,
That makes
like
sense. Yeah.
that's not the edit I would have gone with for the voice. Not to say that it's bad, but like it feels completely disconnected from the actual scene.
Right.
And then when you see this and you're like,
still feels the same way.
I was wrong the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you know, that example is perfect. Like I had the same kind of thing when I heard James Spader was going to be the voice for Ultron. I was like, I don't know what I feel about that. You know, from The Office. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Or the 80s.
Whenever I heard it, I was like, okay, I get that. Like, it's okay. But now I've grown to that being the voice for Ultron. Same way with like Brendan Fraser with Cliff Steele. When I first heard it, I was like, nope, Nope, doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me at all. Now, anytime I see Brendan Fraser, I'm waiting for him to drop an F-bomb. So it takes a little while to grow on you. You know, uh, I agree with you on that though. Like not hearing James Spader voice with Ultron, it was like kind of makes it feel like a bitch. You know, like a bitch robot. I don't know.
Definitely lost the steam.
Right. The little comedic
But-
punches he puts in there, Spader. So
I'm trying to think of the beginning. Oh, it was.
Well, the beginning
Clint
was with
and-
Hawkeye
Yeah.
and Black Widow, which is funny because it seems like they're trying to push these two forward as like big heroes. I know they're doing the Hawkeye show and they're trying to promote Hawkeye, so they're trying to make him a badass. But Marvel, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Hawkeye's not a badass, and and honestly, quite honestly, neither is Black Widow. Like she's more of a badass than Hawkeye, but neither one of them are badasses. Stop trying to make them badasses.
Well,
Stop
they
trying to make them
promote her
badasses when
like
you're
this.
set.
They
Well,
promote her kind of like this superhero, and I'm like, you really don't have anything that's.
Well,
I mean, you're
and the
like-
thing is, Batman doesn't either. So I can't I can't really subscribe
They're
to.
supposed
So
to be
I'm
connected.
just saying
Yeah.
they portray her, especially like in this episode. It was just like she was like this super,
Right.
over the top.
Mhm.
Like she had a superpower.
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
Well, for me,
They
for
are
the
supposed to be
Avengers,
super smart. I mean,
Yeah.
like beyond spies and everything else. I mean, they are supposed to be like intelligent enough to be able to. The whole fact that they work for Shield should mean something, right? As far as like them being humans, but
for me, if you're gonna kill anybody in the Avengers, they put on screen. I'm gonna say the on-screen Avengers. Hawkeye and Black Widow are like the first two to
Expendable
die.
ones.
Yeah, the very expendable ones. You don't put them up against next to the Hulk and Thor and Captain America and expect them to be the ones who survive. Like, nah, I'm sorry.
But if you're
it doesn't work for
Ultron,
me.
you want to take out the power first, so that nothing else is a speed bump to you. And so clearly, if you're going to take down all the Avengers first, and then you leave the measly humans because they don't pose a threat. Just turn it off.
How many times can she call me? Seriously. My wife is out of town for the weekend, so I'm a bachelor for the weekend, or for
She's checking up on you. She
hours,
could just
yeah.
check right here.
I know, right?
No, but I think they did it for the mirror scene. I think they did it for the whole what if Clint fell instead of Natasha. And we got
yeah,
that.
that makes sense because they did kind of reverse that, and you're right. Where Clint's the one who makes the sacrifice, and I saw that when it was coming. I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this, but I don't know, man. Like for me, I'm like, I know there's the Hawkeye show coming out. While I like the actor and I like the character, it's not something that like I'm dying to see. Like it's not. It doesn't make me like if I have time to watch it, I'll watch it.
Well, can we talk
But
about
it's
that,
not something
that
that draws
robotic
me into
arm?
wanting to see it. What's up?
Can we talk about that robotic arm?
You can tell me about it.
Oh, I
The
mean,
hell's up with that shit?
well, they're trying to copy DC with Green Arrow and having the robotic arm. I mean, it happens all the time in Marvel. They copy just about everything DC does. So eventually it was
That
going
was
to
just
come.
like
Slow
so
your
super
roll
random.
there,
because
man.
I slow my
like,
roll,
what is he
sir.
like?
I will show you factual evidence that not almost everything, a ton of stuff Marvel does is a direct copy of DC. And they even admit it. Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson, they admit we copied that character, even down to the name. So there's Thanos and Darkseid. Like there are characters they copy down to the T, and they just name them differently. And they say, oh, well, this is our character. Marvel does that. I get it. It's no problem. You can't come up with your own character. I get it.
Dude
No problem.
running around with
So-
a metal arm for how many movies and a whole TV show now?
Just saying. Well, the dude,
Either
yeah,
way.
but that dude running around with the metal arm was not Hawkeye.
It only made Hawkeye better. So
I hear you.
there's
I hear you.
that.
Hey, I got to take a break. I've got like all family members calling me. There might be an emergency. Y'all talk real quick.
Okay. I think getting Red Guardian shield was clearly a whole touch that they just needed to make for themselves, I guess, to connect the Black Widow story along with what can we do with Natasha before we no longer have Natasha to play with. The fact that Ultron just set off the whole entire nuke system, and you have even General Ross like sitting there like staring at the screen being like,
Oh
oh
shit.
fuck. Yeah, like no one's supposed to do that, but it's happening, and then just completely eradicate everything. It definitely felt like what I would expect if Ultron won, being
Yeah, and then but it's just
named.
kind of like that thing, especially with like with Endgame. You're just like, well, what's the point? Okay, so if you take out all the chaos, if you silence everybody, then what?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he was able to hear the Watcher, because it's like he basically took out everything. He went to every. I mean, it was just like he took out everything, and then by the time he figured out he could go to the different, worlds and whatnot. Take out Scar and Zan, just all this, and there was actually nothing there anymore. I'm thinking, what's the actual end game for that? I mean, what's the point of that? Because even if you take out all the multiverses, if you take everything, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's just my little human mind. I don't know. But I'm like, for then, what are you going to exist for?
The funny thing is, you have Thanos, which the humor of the second episode of this show was that, he kept on calling what he was doing efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Ultron, who's essentially just trying to scorch every world possible.
Yeah, but at least Thanos took out like 50%. I mean, it was like, at least you would still have something left. Now it's like
that mentality, exactly. Like Thanos, now Thanos doesn't seem that bad when you have Ultron, who doesn't want anything else to exist. But I thought the same thing with now that everything is quiet. Is that how he's able to hone in on the Watcher being there? But the Watcher led the story off by saying that he hated this story the most or something like that, leading into the episode, which I found funny because I'm like, if you hate this episode the most, or if you hate this storyline the most, how do you know what's going to happen? And so I've been
just at the
trying
end
to
of
really
the previous episode. Didn't the Watcher, he just seemed like he was surprised?
Yeah. And that's what caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Was I'm like, I don't know where you are in time
and
clearly
exactly.
or space. I don't know. I liked when Ultron got the stones. He used the reality stone like he had no problem wielding it.
Mm-hmm.
He created all of his drone bots, I guess would be the best way to call them. The fact that he went to all the worlds immediately and destroyed everything, the fact that he did all that, what really did kind of trouble me was that when he heard and essentially found the Watcher, I've been confused on this for a while. The way that they show the Watcher looking into a universe is almost as if, well, it's Doctor Strange uses that mirror dimension. And I don't know if they're just trying to show that because that's the only thing that we know and we can pick up on from all of the movies and all of the stories that we have so far. Is the mirror dimension the only way that we can recognize the differences between universes? Or is that actually how the doorway or the window or whatever it is works between all of the universes?
It's just like they were smacking through. It's almost like he was breaking through like windows, going
and that's
into
what I'm saying. Exactly.
That was just kind of weird too. I feel like it's like, is that the barrier between? Is it just like you just smack right into it? I mean,
because any kid with a baseball bat, can knock that sucker out super fast.
Yeah. And I just walked into what y'all were saying, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. And that's kind of the way they portrayed this the entire time, though, right? Like the introduction has shattered glass and windows and him showing fractured, things like that. So I think they were hinting at that the whole time. So my question is, with what's going on then, and y'all may have talked about this while I stepped away real quick, is this like the culmination of this show? Like, does this series, this season, have a plot that works to one directive or one point, and this is the point we're coming to? Or is this just going to be another next episode? It's going to be something totally fucking different, and they're not going to explain their jacked up explanation of multiverses and time travel and just move on to something else?
Well, what was interesting is after this episode is, especially when you saw Doctor Strange, Brian, he's like, is this multiverse of madness? Are we going to see like a Vision Ultron? I'm like, because to me, that seems like what it's kind of leading. It's because why else would you have Doctor Strange? I mean, I just thought that was weird to have him pop up, because what is he like in his little weird, not really a prison, but his weird little area wherever he's at, after, because that's like the other Doctor Strange, isn't it?
That's the evil one, or the one
Yeah,
that learned
exactly.
all of the stuff.
Yeah, so it's like he's out there somewhere, so he's able to see. I don't know. It was just weird. It was just weird. I have to watch that again. But
I have a
anyway,
hard time keeping up with the Doctor Stranges, especially since the one that I saw in the Spider-Man preview was not my Doctor Strange. So,
and I got spoiled.
We'll see what happens.
I don't know if I want to say it, but I got spoiled on the post-credit scene for Venom, and
we can't talk about that.
Don't tell me. I'm going to see it tomorrow. Don't tell me.
I'm going to see it tomorrow too.
Don't tell me.
So,
yeah, I'm going to see it tomorrow.
I'm not going to be able to see it, so all I can tell you is that when you see it, just let me know what you think.
So there is a post-credit scene. So I need to wait to the post-credit scene. Okay, that is good information to know.
Yeah,
but
he stumbled across it somewhere. I don't remember if it was Reddit or TikTok or whatnot. He said he stumbled across it. He's like, I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I was, but I'm not.
I'm excited.
But that's what I'm saying. He was mad because he fell into it where he saw it, and then was like, "Damn it!"
That's how they get you, man.
I know.
No, I did go on to the same thing that, like I was saying last week. EW did another like Tuesday prep interview with the show writer, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they basically did say that this can act as a standalone episode, but it works in conjunction with the next one being the finale. So it can stand by itself, but it also is kind of a lead-in.
Isn't that kind of a cop-out answer, though? Like, really? Like,
well,
we're not going to say it's connected, but we're also going to say it's not going to say it's not connected. So you just kind of make your own judgment.
With all the stuff that I read, it's less of a cop-out than like a good 3/4 of it.
Okay.
I read a bunch of crap that is completely unnecessary.
Why do you read crap? No, I'm just kidding.
It's got an interesting look. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you get we didn't talk about it, but there's that moment where the Watcher just straight levels up with the armor and everything else. I mean, like, dude came out of like, and Ultron called him on his game and was like, "You just watch people? That's weird."
Yeah.
They said it's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
It's like, and then like out of nowhere he turns into like the Warrior Watcher, and I'm just like, what? Hold on. And then you get Galactus. You get that split second of Galactus. And you're like, they're toying.
Well, it makes you wonder too, because he even says in this episode a number of times, "I swore an oath." Well, who did you swear an oath to? Like, if you swore an oath, obviously you have a boss. So who did you swear?
Or is he not the only one? Is there like some other little watchers out there?
So,
there's other watchers. What was that? Wasn't it on one of the Guardians movies where the Stan Lee cameo was talking to the watchers?
he was talking to a group of people. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if that was the Watchers, but yeah, I think they made it out for Stan Lee to be the Watcher. I think that's one character, but who they report to, my Marvel Universe knowledge is not well enough to know.
Speaking of Guardians, what, he like destroyed Ego?
Oh yeah.
I was like, the hell,
dude.
Yeah, I mean, Sovereign destroyed Ego and like all that good stuff. Yeah,
and then mean, after how they made, which Greg, I want to talk to you about or ask you after we get done with this episode, but after they did what they did last episode with Carol, and then this episode they turned her around and she was like not the force to be reckoned with.
Right.
I don't understand the
beating pretty.
I think they just keep trying to play to extremes and to seriously flex their what if muscles.
And see, I think that works to a certain extent, but there has to be some kind of rules. Like there has to be some kind of, you can't in one series say this is the most powerful being in the universe, or this this being can do this and that, and then in the next universe be like, they're just kind of a joke. I mean, I guess technically you can, I guess, but it doesn't make for good story writing. Like I like to see some what if stuff, but I still want to see some absolutes within the characters. Like I still want to see Doctor Strange not give up the time stone and be that guy who defends his honor and his word the entire time. I still want to see all these characters, Captain America be Captain America, you know, like it'd be cool to see a story where maybe Captain America is not Captain America, but I don't want that to be the continuity, you know, and I don't think it should be a progressive or like a thing that continues on as the story goes. Like
That's what this
I
is.
want to see certain things with these characters, and granted, that's just me. Like, so I'm not saying they're wrong because it's just what I want to see. But I just feel like at some point in time with What If, you have to have some kind of rules. You know, it can't just be, well, I guess it can't just be different every time, but you can't try to claim it's connected or try to tie this into a different universe or tie this into a story if you're going to say, well, this is just random shit every time. You know, you can't have it both ways, I feel. It can't be connected and completely random, in my opinion. Russ is
I
like,
would have to
well,
take.
maybe.
I would have to take the opposite argument with that.
Okay.
But
Well,
you
tell me.
didn't watch last episode. Okay, I'll give. I mean, I think that you can. They're in the gray space now because I don't think that they're going to be able to play in the multiverse forever. Because as many other people on the show have made their point known, you can't live in that space because it's constant chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally do anything you wanted to do. I think that if you take the what if scenarios, it's all good, but to your point on when we were just talking about Titans, if it's not the story that you want and or know, you may not be happy with it.
Right.
And so if you're not getting the what if episode that you feel like you want to see, it's not going to be in your direct plane of interest.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're already given the MCU, which is our playground that we know in our world. And so that's what we are either making people happy or unhappy with. And what if is all of the other scenarios possible? I think that they have jumped a little bit too fast in my personal opinion, but I don't know when they locked season 2 to make the watcher come to a point of reckoning with himself.
Right.
I think they could have gone forever telling all these different stories and kept it for us to understand that this is real, you know, like Captain Marvel just talking about it being a prime example, you know, maybe she got blasted with the whole entire force of that engine being blown up. Can't remember the name of the engine, but the one that gave her powers. And then maybe in another one, it just smacked her across the face and she only has like 1/100th of her powers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like some of these characters may not have the exact same characteristics in each universe. So there may be some variation.
Well, my only thing is what I'm saying is like just prime example this week, you know, and last week, like you look at what they give the powers of Captain Marvel, like this is a bad bitch, you know. Then the next week, she's not so bad. She's defeated pretty easily. Then you come back the week after that, this is a bad bitch. Then you come back the week after that, not so bad. Eventually, people are going to be like, okay, is Captain Marvel a badass or not? You know, you can only do that for so long, is what I'm saying. And I get where they're going with this, and I get that it's different stories, different multiverse, you know, different universes. I've seen Tony Stark killed, and they've made it a point to kill Tony Stark like 3 times now in this series. There's only been 8 episodes; they killed him 3 times. And I get that they're letting you know that's the underlying message of this story's dead. We're moving on. You know, we're gonna kill Tony Stark, and we're moving on in this universe. And I get that. Like, I understand. But I just feel like you can't continue to do that forever. Like, you can't have, you can't just flip flop, man. Either Thor's going to be a badass, Thor's not going to be badass. Either, you know, Hawkeye's going to be a guy I don't give a damn about, which I don't, or he's going to be somebody that I care about, which please write me that story because I'd love to see it. You know, like those kind of things. It can't be back and forth. And I just feel like eventually that's going to catch up to him. Look, you know, the job I work at, people have certain days off every day of the week, right? And I can ask them to work that day and I give them another day off. later on that week. And eventually, like, I can continue to do that as far as I need to make the day work, right? But eventually that's going to catch up to me. Like, if I keep doing that, it's going to catch up to me. Like, and it happened last week. Last week, exactly why I had a hell of a week, because eventually that's going to catch up to you, and you're going to be the one that pays the price, you know. And me, I guess in this case, I'd be like the writers, the creators are going to be the one that pays the price, because you can only do this kind of thing for so long, you know, before it all builds up and blows up in your face. And I don't know what Marvel's doing with time travel and the quantum realm and the multiverse. And I get they're much smarter than I am. And I'm sure that in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, I'm going to be looking back at this podcast and be like, Greg, you're a fucking moron. Okay? I'm sure I will be. But right now, I don't understand it. And that's what bothers me. And like I said, it's not because I'm saying they're bad writers or they're doing a terrible job. I just don't understand it right now. And maybe it's because I'm not a very smart guy. But once they reveal it to me, I'm sure I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, that makes sense. I'll give you a
I
pass
think
on
maybe
that.
it's because you have a certain
So
expectation.
it could
It's
be.
like,
It very well could be. Yes.
you've seen this part of it, so you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
adding or conveying that to everything else. So because what I'm taking out of it, like I said, is you have the same characters, but yet they're different versions of themselves in each multiverse.
Right.
It's kind of like in Loki. I mean, you have all the different Lokis. I mean, it's still Loki, but it's a different version.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what it kind of took me, because I'm like, my Loki is my Loki.
Mm-hmm.
I know who my Loki is. It's like,
Right.
he's not this big frost giant. He's not a alligator. He's not some kid. He's not some old dude. This is my Loki from the
Mm-hmm.
MCU. So it took a while for me to kind of wrap my brain around. Oh, well, it could be a lady Loki. It could be
Right.
a reptile Loki. I mean, it could be any kind of, but it's still Loki. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a different character, same character with different characteristics. And I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe that's what that is. I mean, we've invested so many years, especially, and I'm just talking about the MCU itself. We invested so many years, and that's what we're used to. It's just like, even with Endgame, I can't accept a fat Thor. That's just not my Thor. I mean, I just can't with that. But I mean, even though it was in that timeline, or that was him, I'm like, that still took a lot for me to. I'm not buying this, but
Right.
it's still there. So I mean, I think it's
Right.
just a lot of expectations that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the you have to understand too, we have been with these characters for how long, and we are about to get easily a doubling, if not more, of MCU characters
Right.
in the next like 2 years alone.
Mm-hmm. That have nothing to do with the characters we've seen before. Yeah, you're right.
Nothing.
They're totally changing the tablet here,
And
the palette
for
here.
everyone that's casted, they can easily get them in an ADR booth and put them into an episode way before you may even see them on screen. You may do anything with their stories, and your first interaction with one of their characters could possibly be on What If, before they tell their MCU story,
That's true.
before they tell anything else.
That's true.
And so I don't know if they're putting the cart before the horse with some of this, or if they're just making so much happen so quickly that we could be overwhelmed as fans.
Mm.
But I think that the thing that you always have to remember with a title that begins with "What If" is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It can be connected, but it can be something completely different.
Yeah. And I get that. And, like I said, I'm a bigger DC fan than I am Marvel. And What If is basically just Elseworlds, and Elseworld stories are told all the time. And it's one of those things where if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You can have your main continuity, and you can have your storyline that you like and you're comfortable with, and makes your your heart warm. And not go with these Elseworld stories. 'Cause I don't read a lot of Elseworld stories, but then you have the other option. And like I said, I think for me, it's just the biggest thing is, and this is just, of course, speculation also, is me hearing rumors of them saying, well, this is connected to the stories in the Marvel universe or in the movies. And maybe I would feel better if they said it wasn't, because I don't see a connection here. But I also haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I haven't seen this Spider-Man movie. I don't know where they're going in the future with this. So, like I said, where I'm at right now, it doesn't sit well with me. But in the future, based on what they release, based on where they go with it, it could very well be something I end up loving. And I am totally willing to admit that. I've eaten crow plenty of times with MCU and Marvel. And every single time except for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they have responded, very well and with great reviews. So, I mean, it's one of those things, So
It's
we'll
always
see
the
what
weight in
Marvel
your
does.
tackle box, man.
Uh,
All right, but what'd you think about the last episode since you didn't get to watch it?
the last episode of What If?
What if? Yeah.
Talking about the Ultron one? No, he must be talking about the one before that. I'm not gonna lie, I skipped the last episode of What If to watch this most recent episode, so that way I could talk about it in this show. So I don't know a lot about the last episode of What If, because I wasn't caught up. Sarah, did you? You're caught up with it. I know you probably watched the last one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that
no,
was
you're not caught up with this episode, but you watched the last one, right?
No, I'm caught up with all of them.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, because I
Ross,
watched
Ross, you asked me a question. I didn't actually watch last week's episode because I
Was
ran
that the
out of
Thor
time. I watched
episode?
this week's to be able
Yeah.
to catch up the Party Thor. Yeah, I didn't watch that one. Yeah, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, man. Even though y'all told me it was gonna be something that was, I wouldn't be disappointed with. Just, dude, Thor's my guy, man. Don't. I want to see Thor beating the shit out of people and being.
Well, it just
I don't
reminded me a
wanna see
lot
him
of
as
the
a party
Thor
guy.
from like the first movie, like the very first Thor movie where he was just
Okay.
kind of
clueless.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of just
Okay.
like, ooh, I think that's kind of maybe what they played off of, because that's the one that I really pulled,
Okay.
the characteristics I pulled off of, because it's it's even though, he and Jane, seems like he and Jane already knew each other, or some, I couldn't quite get that if they knew each other previous, but still it's like
don't think
playing. I don't know. It was just a weird. I don't know. It was just weird, but that's really what it kind of reminded me of. It was like the first Thor movie, like the way I'm like, because I think that first Thor movie to me could have easily gone down this path.
I think that first Thor movie, to me, was the best Thor movie there was. Out of all three of them.
But
So,
how
yeah,
he was just
I
very
get
like
that.
more open, more like just, I don't know, just more boastful, more conceited. Like he was, I'm, God of Thunder or whatever the hell he
Right.
wants to say.
Yeah, a little bit
I'm a
oblivious.
prince of Asgard.
Yeah, a little bit
that kind of
oblivious to
thing.
the whole situation.
Yeah,
I
he
get
wasn't.
that.
He wasn't very humbled.
But yeah. Look, what if? Would you say the next episode is the last episode? We got one episode left.
Yep.
So, do y'all think it ties into this episode based on what we saw?
It is supposed to play off of
I
this
hope so.
episode.
Well,
Plays
even
off
the
it.
end of the
Right.
even at the end of the Thor one, because you got a glimpse of,
Mhm.
the Vision Ultron or whatever. So, and then when you came into this one, so in some form or fashion, it is connected.
I'm gonna have to see how this connects to the universe before I pass judgment on it. To be honest with you, I like What If. It's a great series. I'm enjoying watching the stories, but as far as the overall thought on it, I'm gonna have to wait until I see how it ties in before I really pass judgment.
And
Give a
this
final
show has
grade.
gotten, I don't want to say mixed reviews, but you get a lot of people that have stuck with all of the different things that Marvel has done.
Mhm.
And see, like you and I are different. Like I have no problem with Ragnarok. I like Ragnarok.
Mhm.
WandaVision, I think, is may be my favorite show they've done so far. I
Right.
love the way that they've taken it in the direction, but I love everything all the way down to, the stupidest little things. What If has gotten a bunch of people to come out and say that, I'm a big Marvel person, but I have not felt like I've needed to watch it. And if you've watched,
What if I didn't like Marvel?
or what if I just didn't watch it this week?
What if I didn't pick up that book? Exactly.
Well, the same can be said. Like, Star Trek with Lower Decks, there's a lot of folks that watch, certain, they're like in the main I mean, people even have issues with Discovery.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, it's
What the fuck?
Discovery gets
Why?
weird. Discovery gets weird.
Oh,
yeah,
don't tell me
it
that. I'm
is
only
kind of
I have no-
crazy.
put in. Don't tell me
It
that.
gets no,
I have no-
I think it's a
no,
good.
it's-
I mean, I
it's a
love
good
it. Don't get me
watch.
wrong, but there's been some very harsh critics of it. You know, it's just like, well,
It's the same
it's
thing.
not really
Everything
Star
goes
Trek.
through.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
so.
not your Star Trek. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but you know what? If it's not for you, then just don't watch it.
Exactly.
No, you
You
can't
know.
do that, Ross. If it says Star Trek on it and you're a Star Trek fan, you got to watch it, dude. Same with Marvel, same with Star Wars, same with DC, everything. Doesn't matter who makes it, you know? You're absolutely right, though, man. That is the thing. And Chris Balga says that all the time, you know, like the beauty of what we have in this multitude of media and books and movies and everything is you can pick and choose what you want to read, what you want to watch. And granted, you may watch something you don't like, but guess what? You know, it's like I tell my kids whenever they're eating food and I try to get them to try something new. The worst case scenario is you try something one time you don't like and then it's over
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
You know, that's the worst case scenario. Then you never have to go back to it and then you know it's something you don't like. You know, that's what I always tell my kids about food. Like, try everything because you never know what you're going to like. But the worst case scenario is you just have one moment where you didn't like something you tried.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
It's,
Live and
it's
learn.
confusion of the word freedom.
yes,
Freedom is that we have the ability to make these things. Your freedom as a fan is your ability to watch and possibly enjoy it. Your freedom is not to go and badmouth the living shit out of it.
very good point.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
You know what? You know what they say about opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What is it? What do they say
Elbows
about
and
opinions?
assholes.
Opinions like assholes. Everybody's got one.
I don't. I was born with an asshole. So you know.
I saw that commercial. What do? You just process it and you wish it away?
Come to that same hole. That's right. That's right. Just like on South Park.
South Park.
All right. Well, that's all the shows. Do y'all, Ross, you got some news you want to talk about? We'll toss that out there and then we'll head out of here.
I'll give a couple things. Star Wars gave us a surprise little galaxy of sounds. I don't know if anyone's ever watched. I think it was Empire of Dreams. I believe that was like a 3.5 hour documentary on Star Wars that came out like in the late 90s or the early 2000s. I believe it's on Disney Plus, but it followed a little bit of the work that Ben Burt, the sound designer, did when he was making like the lightsaber sounds and like all that kind of mess. This was
I can make
seven.
lightsaber
You do that in your spare time, don't you?
Yeah.
This was straight up sound porn.
Nice.
It was 7 mini episodes that were, I believe that they were all about 7 minutes long. They had themes. They were like, there's dark side, light side, droids, a couple other things they used, and they were all different until I think I got to like the last clip where they kind of circled back on a couple of the same clips over again. But it's literally all sounds. It is droids, nature ships, and I think you hear the Emperor do that stupid scream that he does when he's going to attack Mace Windu.
Yeah. That one.
But you don't get voices. It's all sound and no music. It
Just
is
the kind of
all
stuff you
just
want to
like,
get a massage to, right?
yeah, if you're into that. I
I'm
mean,
just saying, you know, you never know. Okay.
Beyond
you want
that,
to take a bath too? How about that? No, that didn't work either. Yeah. Sorry. Good.
whatever shoots your web, man. What do we also get? We got the Lego Star Wars, the Halloween. Hold on, Terrifying Tales came out, is what it was called.
Yeah, we started watching that this afternoon or this evening. I don't know if they finished it or not, but
it's weird. It's a fun little watch. I mean, I don't know if you ever played like any like the Lego Star Wars or Jurassic Park or whatever games, but I mean, like all those games were always fun. But the episode, I wasn't too big on the Christmas one that they did, but the Halloween one was a little bit better. You got twist on story. You got like, what if Luke Skywalker was trained by Anakin and became like a whole bunch of weird little things. But I believe it was like 45 minutes or something like that. Good little watch. Beyond that, I'm not going to mention anything else about the post-credit scene. I had that on there. You had, let's see, we'll do Disney real fast. Black Widow's coming to Disney Plus on the 5th. So I believe that's next week, next Wednesday. And she actually finished her fight with Disney. Apparently, there's no information on it.
So they paid her?
Something happened.
So Disney gave in. They paid her. I got you. That's what happened.
The dispute is no longer a dispute.
I guarantee that's what happened.
Well, when you put Mickey Mouse's head on dollar bills, there's no problem.
Yeah.
I should have led with this actually. Boba Fett got a date. It's coming out on the 29th of December.
Who's it with? Oh, sorry.
Who's it with? It's with Boba Fett.
It's Bo-Katan, right?
Yeah. So you get apparently Lucas is getting a black figure. I don't know if anyone's a collector or anything else, but 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, he's finally getting another character. And then there is actually I'm not even gonna mention that because it's too much of a rumor.
Oh, you can't do that. No, go back. Whoa.
No,
it's a. You can't be like, oh, there's this. Oh, but I'm not gonna mention it because it's only a rumor, and then move on.
Oh, I didn't build it up.
Is it, Ross? What is it, Ross?
There's a possible trilogy coming out. That's animated with Ralph McQuarrie's artwork that he did, all the concept artwork, and they're basically going to do a retelling of the original trilogy with all of his artwork and animation. That is a straight up rumor. I cannot validate any of that, but I saw it, read it, looked at it, worth mentioning. James T. Kirk is going to go to space. Officially, Shatner is going to ride the Bezos blue dildo to space.
Dude, what is it? An 80-year-old man riding it, going in a rocket ship? Yeah, it's like 80-something, right? Yeah, that's crazy.
But he's got his ticket to space, so we're gonna see how that works out.
You know, I wish he would have gone with Musk instead of Bezos. To be truly honest with you, just because if I'm gonna pick one of the two, if I'm gonna pick one billionaire to follow, it's Musk.
I think they both like cowboy hats.
But I think that either one you follow is going to be good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The only other information that I have is all the trailers that came out for the Netflix's Da Dumb Day. Let me start from the bottom. They had Army of Thieves, which to me, meh. I watched it. It's totally different. They did apparently Cowboy Bebop is getting its full live treatment, and we did see the opening intro that they did with the live action characters. There's a Netflix movie, was it Arcane was the name of it. It is a League of Legends kind of spinoff. It looks pretty cool. Ozarks is the trailer for that came out, which I don't know if you guys watch Ozarks, but it took me forever to jump on that train. And when I did, I was like, oh yeah. But it's going to be a 2-parter, so they will release half of it and the other half. The Stranger Things teaser didn't really do a whole lot for me. Extraction, I believe, is the second movie. Extraction was a movie, right?
I don't know.
That's the Chris Hemsworth, him going and getting the kid out. I think that was a movie.
It's not something I've seen. If it was, yeah.
Oh, you should watch it. The first one was pretty decent. All action.
You didn't even know it was a movie.
But
you should watch it.
Was good.
It's really good.
I just can't remember if it was a show or a movie
or not. But it was really good.
Sometimes a show's so good, I watch it the whole entire length. Then I wake up the next morning like, oh, crud. Yeah. The Witcher teaser dropped. Actually, a couple teasers for that dropped. Very short, simple, more or less just like scenes, real quick scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Sandman teaser.
Yes, I need to watch the Sandman teaser. Nathan said that in you know what? I don't even look. I want to watch the Sandman teaser because I love the first book, but I've already bought the second book, y'all. So like, I don't need to be sold on it. I've already bought the second book. I just haven't listened to it yet. Hey, I did hear though that from a friend at work, and I don't know how true this is, about a Highlander remake with Henry Cavill as the main character, and the guy who I guess Danny Elfman doing the score for it. And the choreographer for The Witcher being the choreographer for this. I don't know how true it is or anything about it, but I heard a guy at work tell me that day. So it
I've heard
sounded
that
cool.
rumor for about 2 months, and I
Okay.
can't remember if it ever got validated. I believe that they were talking, and the possibility is still out there. I think COVID put a dent in it,
Right.
and I think that we caught wind of it way after all of that happened.
Right.
So I am not sure where it lies.
It'd be cool though.
I no one ever understands there can be only one reference. So every time I use it, everyone looks at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course there can be only one. It's a decision. You have to make one. I'm like,
You just don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Other than that, we are hoping for a what's the Doctor Strange movie?
Multiverse of Madness.
There you go. Man, I blinked like crazy. We are hoping that there's going to be a Multiverse of Madness trailer drop because of the way that Marvel drops movies. Trailers with movies or prior to movies. They do it within a certain time frame. So we're hoping that sometime in October, early November, that we're going to get that trailer. I'm hoping for October.
That'd be nice. I'd definitely like to see one sooner rather than later, for sure.
Yeah.
I need some questions answered, but
absolutely, I'm totally there with you.
Yeah.
Just like we need to know where we're going with this.
Yeah. And the only thing I got to realize is Marvel is not beholden to my standards and what I want to see. And I've got to remember that whenever like they don't give me something I want or they do go a different direction. Like they're not by any means obligated to do what I want them to do, no matter how much I want that to say. And I'll call Joss Whedon tomorrow and be like,
I'm just going to eat
or Foggy. Come on,
all
Foggy.
the Marvel. I'm fine with
it. No, and I'm the same way, dude. I end up loving it. Like I said, I complain about certain things, but in the end, with the exception of one movie they've made, I've loved everything, and even that movie that I don't love, it's still not a bad movie. It's just not up to par with most of the MCU and none of the DCU. So I'm, but that's just me.
I feel behind because I haven't even been watching the movies that have been coming out in theaters. Like next week, I'll watch Black Widow, but like everyone's talked up Shang-Chi, and I'm just like,
I got no desire to see Black Widow in theaters
I don't really care.
or at home. I just don't care about it. Like 7 years ago, I feel like I would have cared about it a little more. But right now, I just don't care. Like it didn't get great reviews, and it's not a character that particularly interests me. It doesn't have anything to do with the story going forward. Well, I guess it does, but it just, I want to see Shang-Chi because it sounds like a fucking awesome movie. Everybody I've said, talked to that's seen it has been amazed by it. But it's my bachelor weekend. I have one movie to go watch this weekend, and I'm going to go watch Venom 2 on tomorrow night. So all by myself. And my wife said, who watches a movie by themselves? And I said, people who don't plan on talking to other people in the movies. Like they go watch movies by themselves. Like I'm not going to talk to you during the movie, so I don't need to have company with me. I'll go watch a movie by myself, no problem. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Because I don't want to tell you all of the answers to your questions as I'm trying to watch the movie for the very first time.
Right, exactly.
I know, it's like I tell my son, I'm like, son, this is the first time I watched it too, so quiet.
Right. I need to figure out what's going on before I can explain it to you.
Exactly.
So, all right, man. Was that all the news?
That's all I got.
Cool deal. All right. Well, that's all the news. That's all the shows. No movies this week. Let's go ahead and wrap it up because I've got to be up in 5 hours to go to work. So sacrifices, folks. What I do for the show. Sacrifices. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at MyLadyKitten. I bounce around there. I'll pop up a few times, and that's about it. But
and on the TikTok, because I think I followed you the other day.
Yeah, on the TikTok. Yes, right. You'll pretty much see my dogs on the TikTok. That's all
I saw a lot of your dogs on the TikTok. Yes, a lot.
Because Bruce is such a little character. He is a mess.
Yes, rolling in the mud and all that good stuff.
Yes, like I would say, have a white dog. White dogs and white cars are not the same because the white dog will get super dirty real quick.
So racist. Sorry, can't have that on the show. Sorry. But...
No, I'm just saying. It's just like he gets dirty. I'm like, whatever.
We were so inclusive and we just messed that up.
That's right. Ross, where can they find you at, brother?
right in this.
Yeah, right in this little
screen.
square right here. I got you. No part of social media
Yep.
at all. Good
No,
deal.
sir.
Well, check him out. He'll be here, until he tells me he's not going to show up. So he'll be here. And folks, you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. You can also check out at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. That's the show handle that I try to check as often as I can. But if you ever want to get a hold of me, slide into my DMs, send me a direct message, whatever you can do, and I'll try to talk to you and figure out what's going on. We love guests on the show. I love promoting comics. I love promoting all kinds of different stuff for people trying to get things started. And until then, we're going to keep covering what's going on here. You can also find me on Tuesday nights live. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the C3 Panthers podcast. It is the longest running Panthers show in the universe, literally in the universe. Well, as far as I know it, on this earth, I can say at
In
least
the omniverse.
with confidence. We have a great time there talking about Panthers football. We do a post-game show on Sundays. We do a live free-for-all on Fridays. We do a Madden game simulation. We do a Wednesday show with an interview from different sportscasters or reporters. So I'm telling you, we've got a lot of stuff going on with that. We have something coming out almost every day that week. Check out that show if you're a Panthers fan, or even if you're a football fan. It's a really fun time.
Yeah.
Before I met Sarah, it's what blossomed into this great stuff. So really, really fun time. But that's live Tuesday at 9 p.m. is the main show for that one. But seriously, everybody who's on the show, who's come check us out, who promotes the show, who tweets it, who loves it, who reviews it, who likes it, thank you very much. Tell a friend, do the same thing. We're going to keep coming back, whether you do it or not. So sorry, but
find us here on Fridays.
That's
Yay.
right. Find us here on Fridays. So we're hanging out. But until next week, everybody, Ross, Sarah, thank you so much for being on. And until next week, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Later.
Fucking pounding. That's right.